There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
What's up, the internet? It's Kyle. See it right there? It's Kyle. Hey, it's Kyle. There you go. Welcome into the pull list for this Tuesday, March the 2nd, in the year of our Lord 2021, which is also, coincidentally, my 33rd birthday. It is my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I always like when my birthday falls on a Tuesday or a Wednesday because it means new comic books. I got my DC books this afternoon. I get my Marvel and everybody else books tomorrow. But I'm very, very excited to tell you about stuff that's coming out in your comic store this week that you can pick up by discussing what's on my pull list and what I think should perhaps be on your pull list. Yes, Jerry says it. Say happy birthday to Kyle. Don't do that. You can if you want. You don't have to. I'm not a requirement. But it is a requirement that maybe Jerry get back to work. I'm just throwing that out there. Our show, as always, the pull list is brought to you by Comic Shop Locator. Head over to bit.ly/comic locator to find great comic shops in and about your area. Jerry, if you're spamming me, I will block you. No, in and about your area, find great local comic shops at bit.ly/comic locator. I want to start with something, though, because it's my birthday. I got permission to do this. I am raising money for my birthday for BINC, which is the Book Industry Charitable Foundation. Guys, if you don't know what BINC is, BINC gave money directly to comic shop owners, comic shop employees, and comic shops to help get them through the pandemic when things were shut down. They've been helping bookstores for years, bookshops for years, bookshop employees. So I'm going to post a link right there. If you all could possibly donate to BINC, that would be wonderful. It would be hugely helpful. I set a super modest goal, and we're almost there. So if you guys want to help us blow past that goal and blow that number out of the water, that would be hugely helpful. Now that we've done the business, let's talk about some books. So the first book up is, I think, the first book on a lot of people's list this week. This is Infinite Frontier, number 0, from the DC Comics. Sorry, I need a drink of water. So Infinite Frontier, guys, has like a whole bunch of stories in it, including a Justice League story, a Batman story, Wonder Woman, Wonder Girl, Green Lantern, Alan Scott, Teen Titans Academy, Superman, Green Arrow, and the Black Canary, Stargirl, Green Lantern, The Flash, and an epilogue. So this book basically picks up where Death Metal and Future State left off, right? So the Dark Knight's Metal like had the darkest possible threats in the multiverse, and Future State kind of showed you what was way off in the future. So they called it Future State. This is the current day DC universe. So it's Death Metal, Dark Knight's Metal has already happened, and Future State hasn't yet happened. This is where we're at. So this is how we get to Future State. You have a Joker story in the Batman part of the book. You have some great Green Lantern story. Amanda Waller shows up. You get an all-new Stargirl story by Jeff Johns. Guys, it's an oversized issue. It's got all the top writers and everybody you've been looking for in the DC universe since, they kind of announced the whole, Dark Knight's Metal thing. You've wanted to know how it all ties together. So they did Dark Knight's Metal. they did Future State. So Dark Knight's Metal is here. Future State's way over here, and we're here in this book. And it's really exciting. I read the first probably half of it today after I picked it up from the store, and so far it's been really great. I'm pleased with the way the characters are presented. I'm pleased with the way it looks. I think it's going to be a great follow-up to Future State and to Dark Knight's Death Metal. The next book on the list is a book with no vowels from a writer whose first name is almost exclusively vowels. I have to do a thing. I don't know why this happens like this. There we go. So it's a book with no vowels in the title from a writer whose name is almost exclusively vowels in the Keanus. This is, excuse me, Berserker #1 from Boom Studios. Written by Keanu Reeves with Matt Kint, Ron Garney, and Bill Crabtree. That's the whole creative team. But if you don't know what Berserker is, let me cue you in on this. It's an action book, obviously. You could tell from the cover it's an action book, right? But this guy, his life is cursed with violence. Like, he's a half human, half immortal god whose expertise is killing people. So, think Sylvester Stallone in movies, Keanu in John Wick, like really kind of a special sort of relationship he has. But basically for years and years and years, he's been on Earth, and he's the guy that people call on when they need some bloody work done. And in order to sort of, make it more tenable for himself, he's gotten a job working for the U.S. government to do the things they won't want to do. I have a friend who used to work for a government organization, and he once told me of what they call wet teams, which are teams that go in, teams of military personnel who go in and do things that are bloody. This is a one-man wet team in that regard. In exchange, Berserker, for working for the U.S. government, Berserker is this is from the solicitation. Berserker will be granted the one thing he desires most: the truth about his endless blood-soaked existence and how to end it. So the book has a definite ending, but you don't really know what that is. Again, guys, this was a book that had a lot of hype surrounding it when it was first released. A lot of stores have ordered a lot of copies. There are some great variants. If there's even any remote chance you'd be into an action book from the likes of a Keanu, you definitely need to get in to your local comic shop and get this one picked up. It's great, and most comic shops will have plenty of copies. All right, so let's move on to excuse me. Demon Days, the X-Men. Demon Days, the X-Men. There we go. This is written and drawn by Peach Momoko. Guys, Peach has been one of the hottest names in comics now. For about a year. I remember first hearing about her about a year ago, maybe a little before, but Peach Momoko has been one of the hottest names in comics. And this is all right, do it all. Write it, draw it, everything. So this is an X-Men story, Demon Days, the X-Men. It's Marvel story unlike any you've ever seen before. A wandering swordsman with a psychic blade arrives at a village that's being targeted by demons. One demon is black and white. And if you look at that background, looks vaguely venomous. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. One demon is black and white with terrifying red tongue, and another maybe the strongest demon there is. In the stunning kickoff to this prestige quarterly story. So, guys, We're talking square bound books, thick books, prestige bound. Once a quarter, so once every 3 months, this book is going to come out. Thank you, Ship. Click the link. Donate to Bink. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. I feel bad now. Never mind. Don't do that unless you want to. But yeah. Anyhow. So it's a revolutionary reimagination of part of the Marvel Universe that can only come from Peach and be told in Peach's style. I am so excited to check this out. Like, I've seen Peach Momoko covers where it's like, this is the single greatest art being created in the comic book industry right now. And then I've seen Peach Momoko art where I've gone, this is uniquely interesting and different than anything being done in the comic book industry right now. And neither of them are bad. They're just vastly different coming from the same artist. Peach reminds me a lot of Bill Sienkiewicz, where sometimes Bill Sienkiewicz's work looks a lot like Neil Adams and super thick lines and traditional cartooning. And then sometimes Bill Sienkiewicz's work looks like an avant-garde artist. And that's how Peach reminds me. Sometimes it's stuff like this cover where it's okay, it's definitely Western, or it's definitely Eastern influenced, Asian influenced, that part of the world. But it's also traditional comic. And then sometimes it's very unique and abstract and minimalist, and I really dig it. So I'm excited for Demon Days, the X-Men. Let's see. One of the other books I wanted to talk about coming out this week, Star Wars The High Republic #2. This is Star Wars The High Republic Adventures #2. So I really love the things that IDW does with Marvel stories. So Star Wars The High Republic Adventures is more of the accessible version of the High Republic story that everybody's so high on right now. That's coming out from Marvel. This is the second issue. So it's Flaming Destruction has come to Trimat 4. And you have this group of friends who are trying to survive, and you get to meet Yoda's Padawans, who you met in the first book, who are trying to save them, but they're just Padawans, so they're not, as skilled as perhaps Master Yoda. But this one is writer Daniel Jose Older, who is the writer of Star Wars The Last Shot, and artist Harvey Tolabayo. I'm not really sure how to say that one. But they're great. This series has been phenomenal. I actually like the High Republic Adventures better than like regular High Republic. I'm weird like that, but that's just one man's opinion. So we're through the first little bit of books this week, guys. And I wanted to take a second and talk to you about this week in comics a little separately, because if you aren't paying attention to new books coming out like on a regular basis, you might not notice, but there are a ton of #1s and early issues this week. So this is a great week to make sure you head into your local comic shop and pick up your pull list. If you're a little bit behind, if you're a couple weeks behind, don't freak out about it. Just make sure you head in this week and pick up your pull list. Stores have big weeks coming out. We talked about Berserker, but we also have ENIAC. If your store is a Bad Ideas store, we have a bunch of other #1s. Like all night tonight, we're going to be talking about #1s. And the thing about the #1s, in my opinion, is that those are the weeks that are hardest for comic stores. They have to go up and jump up and place an order without knowing what a book will do, and then hope it sells out. So weeks with a lot of #1s put a lot of strain on comic book stores. So this is a great week that, even if you don't have anything coming out, even if there's not anything you're like, I got to have that, go in, pick up your pull list. buy a Funko Pop, buy a toy, buy a can of soda, whatever your comic book shop has to offer. Just make sure you're heading in this week and helping comic book shops out. My show, as always, is brought to you by Comic Shop Locator. You head over to bit.ly/comic locator to find great local comic shops in and around your area that you can visit on Wednesday. So visit tomorrow, or visit Thursday, or visit Friday, but make sure you get into a comic shop this weekend. We are going to take just a quick break here to remind you about Comic Shop Locator, and we will be right back in just about a minute.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey, and behind every page there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit ComicShopLocator.com today.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Kyle. See? Over there. Coming to you live from beautiful Toledo, Ohio, with slightly less snow on the ground than in the picture. This is the pull list where we talk about books that are coming out this week, and in particular, books that are on my pull list that I hope you added to your pull list, and books you should be picking up. So our next book that's out this week that I'm really excited for is ENIAC #1, or ENIAC. I'm not exactly sure how they say it. But it stands for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer, which was an actual computer that was actually built during World War II, that was supposed to help with more accurate weaponry. This is not that story. This is a story of how the ENIAC basically created a sentient computer. So you had all these great weapons, you had all these great innovations that happened. Well, all these, I don't want to call them great, but all these huge innovations that happened to machinations of war during World War II. So you had the atom bomb, you had the development of I love the smell of napalm in the morning. So you had napalm, you had the split of the atom bomb, you had all of these new ways to, all these new weapons. But this one was the supercomputer, which is actually real. We had someone on our show yesterday talking about how they've seen parts of it at the University of Pennsylvania. But so this computer could do like crazy complex math, and the modeling it projected tried to figure out what the Axis was doing so that the Allies could help them or could beat them. And everybody knows what really happened in American history, right? That this thing worked and it helped the Allies defeat the Axis. Well, this is what happens when that computer goes unchecked, becomes sentient, and takes over things. And what's really interesting to me about this story is that it's taking an actual historical story. Like, you can go visit it. You can do the research on the ENIAC and find out all kinds of stuff about it, but it's turning it on its head. And it's making it it's telling a really interesting story that's based in at least partial fact, which is super fun for me. Now, this is from Bad Idea. So Bad Idea books are only available at Bad Idea retailers. So there's like 300-ish around the country selling Bad Idea books. If you go to whereisbadidea.com on the interwebs, it'll tell you what stores are carrying them. I can tell you this, though. Space Cadets Collection in Houston, they are carrying it. as is A Comic Shop with Aaron, who's here on the network, as is Aw Yeah Comics in Muncie, Indiana with Dr. Christie, who's on the network. So make sure you visit one of those stores if you're looking for these books. So Bad Idea has a lot of really interesting things as a company. Like they've got rules to how you have to sell their books and stuff, unlike other companies that are designed to create that relationship between you, the reader, and their books. For instance, Bad Idea is not going to do second printings. They're going to do what they call not first printings, which is when they eventually sell out of a first printing, they're going to go back to press with it and leave it perpetually in print until there's no longer a need for printed copies. And that will be called the not first printing. And it will look the same. It will have all the same content, maybe even extra content, but it will have at least all the same content in the books. So even if you're getting them just to read, the not first printing is a good option. Like I said, stores are likely going to require you to order 1 through 4 of any Bad Idea book. They're going to likely require you to pre-order the whole set because stores, whatever number you order of number 1, has to be your order for every issue through the entirety of the story arc. So, for instance, ENIAC 1 through 4 is one story arc. So if a store ordered 50 copies of ENIAC number 1, they also ordered 50 copies of number 2, 50 of number 3, 50 of number 4. So stores will likely ask you to go ahead and make the commitment on the whole first 4 books. That's not a bad thing necessarily. It just is a thank you, Pod. Anyhow, this is it's not a bad thing. It's just a different way to ensure that you're getting a whole story arc and that stores are putting you with books you're going to like. So, all right. The next book I want to talk to is from another upstart publisher. In fact, they have Upshot in their name. This is Chariot from AWA Upshot by Brian Edward Hill and Priscilla Petraeus. I think that's how you say that. Anyhow, guys, this is Kit the comic book. Like, I'm going to read you the solicitation. Like, I don't normally like to do that, but it says it so well. And you tell me if you think this is Kit or a version of Kit or not. So the Chariot was a Cold War era secret government project to provide its star agent with a weapon unlike any in the form of a supercharged muscle car. It sank into the ocean decades ago, and the agent along with it. Now, a petty criminal looking to reform his life has stumbled upon the Chariot, and he's about to find out that the agent's consciousness is still controlling this synthwave thriller. So tell me that's not just a little bit Kit. Just saying. But this comes from AWA. So this is set, in modern times, but it's based on a car from the 80s that was a super weapon for a secret agent. And what happens when that falls into the wrong hands for the right reasons. Everything AWA has been doing, if you're not reading Grendel, Kentucky, you're missing out. But everything they've been doing is super strong. And remember, guys, AWA is headed up by Axel Alonso, who you may know as having, been the dude at Marvel for a lot of years. It's everything they're doing is solid. They're doing high quality books, high quality printings, all of that kind of stuff. So it's worth looking out for. I'm gonna do one more book, then we gotta take another quick break here. But this is a book that if you've been watching the comic book shopping experience for a while, you've probably seen ads for. This is Jana and the Unpossible Monsters, written by Laura and Chris Samney, drawn by Chris Samney. This is the story of a little girl and her family. This character, Rainbow, has been searching for her sister Jana for over a year. The last time she saw Jana was also the first time she saw one of the monsters that now roam their planet. So they're these big dinosaur-looking monsters, right? And you can see them in the ads. You can see them there on the cover. They're scary. And this girl, Rainbow's sister, disappeared that same day she saw those monsters. And this girl is obsessed with trying to find her sister. And it's about what she will do to keep their family together and to survive this time of monsters. Chris Samney is a award-winning creator, an amazing cartoonist and illustrator. This is from Oni Press, which is a great place to look for all ages books, especially, and family books. I would say this is more of a young adult than an all ages book, but it really does have a nice family feel to it. So if there's a way, you can introduce it to your young readers, that would be good. But the end is about what a family will do to stay together, even in the worst of circumstances. So that's Jana and the Unstoppable Monsters. It's true. The character design is great, right, Pat? You've got this sort of cave person look. But yeah, Jana. But also you could totally tell this is a little girl, looking for her sister and trying to, just kind of make it. And then you've got these monsters in the back that are like, oh, those are dinosaurs, but not really. So make sure you check out Jana and the Unstoppable or the Unpossible Monsters. All right. So I said we're going to do one more. We're going to take a quick break. We will be back in just a couple of minutes here on the Pull List Show on the Comic Book Shopping Network. Comic Book Shopping Experience. I knew I was going to do it eventually. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
It's what we do in the comic shop. It's what we do in the comic shop when we power down those neon lights in the back room. We're still burning bright with Dr. Christie, real sweet too. It's time to move some back issues. It's what we do in the comic shop. It's what we do in the comic shop. It's what we do in the comic shop. It's what we do in the comic shop is closed.
You are watching Minute to Skim It on the Experience, so hello. All right, we've got lots of books to review for you guys today. And Hannah just basically showed up with just the number ones and showed them to me, and I was like, oh, we have.
Just for the indies.
Just for the indies, yeah. I was like, we have got a lot to do.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit ComicShopLocator.com to find a store near you.
You know, it helps if I put myself back on the screen, doesn't it? Welcome back into the pull list here on the Comic Book Shopping Experience. I am Kyle. This is what's coming out this week. So the release date, March 3rd, 2021. Today is March 2nd, 2021. It is my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I'm doing this show on my new teleprompter. That was my birthday present. So I'm very excited to be able to do that for you guys. Hopefully be a little more professional. Like we're ever going to be truly professional around here. But a little more professional. And I just want to remind you guys, if you're able and you're willing, I'm not pressuring you, even though I pretended to pressure ship. Head over to the link that I'm putting in the comments right now and donate to Bink. Bink is the book industry charitable foundation. They gave money directly to comic store employees, comic store owners, comic stores themselves, bookshop employees, bookshop owners, and bookshops themselves to help get them through the pandemic. They also help when you have to have things like surgery or your car breaks down or just any kind of giant financial burden that would cause a store to have trouble running. Bink helps out those people. Bink helped out a mountain of my friends in the last year, and I've been incredibly fortunate. So I wanted to ask you guys for my birthday if you wouldn't mind donating to Bink. I set a really, really conservative goal. So let's blow that number out of the water here tonight. But we'll start with the next book. This is the Comic Book History of Animation number 4. Saturday TV Funhouse. TV Funhouse. No, I'm kidding. Saturday Morning Funhouse. This is the Comic Book History of Animation. Guys, Saturday morning TV was the best. Saturday morning cartoons. Like, what was your favorite Saturday morning cartoon growing up? Did you watch them? Or were you an outside kid? I don't get that. But Saturday morning cartoons were my favorite. I grew up on things like Recess and the Disney shows that were on ABC on Saturday mornings. This, though, is we roll into the 60s in animation, during which a CBS executive named Fred Silverman had the brilliant idea to turn Saturday mornings into all kids programming, transforming the toon landscape forever. Hanna-Barbera were fired from MGM. And were fired from MGM, but become the biggest animators in the country. But what happens when all the jobs get sent overseas? In Japan, the animation industry starts to boom, and we start to get things like manga, anime, and Miyazaki. So, Joel, I don't at the moment, but I can find out some of that kind of stuff. Message the EXP on Facebook, and I will get some information for that. I don't have anything off the top of my head that I know with. I know I always just did it through my store, and there may be a store you can reach out to. But we'll look into that for you. Yeah. Anyhow, so we're back to Saturday morning cartoons, right? By the time I was a little bit older, we started to get Transformers and some of that kind of stuff. Or when I was a little bit younger, we got Transformers and some of that kind of stuff in the end of that sort of 80s run. But I remember seeing my first anime on Saturday morning cartoons. You know, when it was, we were seeing Macross and Voltron. Or what went on to become Voltron. It was Macross before. And then, starting to see the Miyazaki films. And my sister loved Kiki's Delivery Service and Howl's Moving Castle and Ponyo and all of these great Hideki Miyazaki films. Or Hayao Miyazaki, sorry. This is the era we're talking about in this book right here. The Comic Book History of Animation. Like I said, tell me your favorite Saturday morning cartoons. Don't be shy. I probably watched them. Unless you're old, like Pat. Next book up, Paranormal Hitman, number 1. This is from Behemoth Publishing. Behemoth is one of these young up-and-coming companies that you need to be watching out for. I keep talking about Behemoth all the time, don't I? But you guys need to be on the lookout for Behemoth stuff. Because the stuff they come out out with is just kind of out there, but also unique and interesting and really well done. So the 2-second pitch for Paranormal Hitmen is that it's The Sopranos meets the Ghostbusters. I don't really know if I need to talk anymore about this. We can just sit here for the 2 minutes I have allotted for this book. Right? I mean, Sopranos meets the Ghostbusters. You have two hitmen who work for an infamous mobster. But they get recruited by a mysterious government agency to go out and hunt and kill ghosts. But their boss is not okay with this, so they have to dodge him. Like I said, I can't find anything that's not appealing about this book. Again, it's from a small publisher, a new publisher, somebody who's really just making a name for themselves in Behemoth. So you really should check this out. Paranormal Hitmen, #1, The Sopranos meets the Ghostbusters. Next up is a book from Heavy Metal. Pat, you have to read the book to find out, but I would imagine getting hit by the beam from a proton pack is not like fun for them. Don't know. Maybe read the book and find out. I'm going to read the book when I pick it up tomorrow. But that's all I know. So Sopranos meets the Ghostbusters. Thank you, Joel. It's a super fun kind of concept, and I'm excited to read it. Next up, though, from Heavy Metal is Star Wars #1. Yay! Shout out to LCSs. Our show is brought to you by Comic Shop Locator. Go to bit.ly/comic locator to find local comic shop in your area. If you have a local comic shop, shout them out in the comments so we can shout them out. If you don't, head over to bit.ly/comic locator to find one. There are great stores everywhere. So this is Star Wars by Steve Orlando, who is someone I'm a fan of. So when I saw that he was doing a book at yeah, Pat, you definitely do. But when I saw when Steve Orlando was doing a book at Heavy Metal, I was super excited because Heavy Metal is a publisher that I've been a fan of for a long time. And now that Joe Illich is in charge over there, I know that the quality will go through the roof. But so the premise of Star Wars is that era when you're starting college, like you're 18 years old, you've had the last summer before college. That's tough enough, but for excuse me. But for the main character, a girl named Stephanie Cohen, she's not only giving up her dream of studying the classics, but she's trying to please her parents by becoming pre-med. But then what happens is classic stories crash into her world when she realizes she's the reincarnation of a stellar warrior tasked with guarding the cosmic door to chaos. What's up, Elvis? Is Stephanie strong enough to follow her heart, accept her secret history, and look starward in time to save humanity when she realizes the chaos has already won? So here's the deal, right? This girl is starting college. She's at that weird age in life. I think we all probably can remember that age when we're not teenagers anymore, but we're kind of just becoming adults, but we don't know what that means. Going off to college, falling in love, drinking, drugs, if you're me. Any of that kind of stuff. Like, it's a tough time to be a kid, to be a person, 18, 19 years old. But now imagine finding out that you're the person who's supposed to stop, like, the Greek gods and the weird, chaos that is all of the mythos in our universe from taking over, right? that's this story. And again, it's written by Steve Orlando. The art is by hold on. I forgot to write it down, and I'm trying to read it off the cover on my small screen here. The art is by Juan Severin, or Ivan Severin. I think it's Juan. But looks really cool. And again, it's coming from heavy metal. So you can't go wrong, right? I mean, it's heavy metal. It's Joe Illich is steering the ship. And Joe Illich, if you'd missed him on Black Comics Universe that we had on this weekend, he's writing the new book of Proverbs for comics. He has really got into perspective and what it goes into being a well-rounded creator and being a well-rounded person in that regard. So make sure you check that one out. I have one more book to talk about, and I'm not sure if I want to save it till after the break or do it before the break. I have to take another break in a couple of minutes. Should I do it now or should I do it later? Here's what we're going to do. We're going to do it later. And I'm going to remind you guys about bit.ly/comic locator. Head over to bit.ly/comic locator or comicshoplocator.com and type in your zip code or a zip code of a place where you might be visiting. And it will tell you where all the comic shops are in that area. It also lists like the things they have that are unique to them, like a kids section, or that they participate in Free Comic Book Day or Halloween Comic Fest, or they're a library partner, or any of that kind of stuff that makes comic shops interesting and exciting. And then try and visit as many as you can. One of my favorite things is to plan a vacation around visiting comic book shops. So I'll go to 8 or 10 comic book shops over the course of a couple of days in an area where I'm on vacation. So, head over to Comic Shop Locator to find those places. Again, comic shops have taken it, just as have had just as hard a time as anybody else has during this pandemic. And they're struggling. And again, like I was saying earlier, tons of number ones this week. Just mountains of them. So those are always harder weeks financially for stores because they've got more books they've got to order without knowing what that book is going to do in their store. So make sure you head out to local comic shops, pick up some stuff, try some new stuff out. If you're a little behind on your pull list, it's cool. Just pick it up. Go in, just pick up your pull list. That will help a ton, even if you don't buy anything new released this week. Check it out. Check out local comic shops through Comic Shop Locator. All right, we're going to take a quick break. And I will be right back in just a minute or two.
There's something for every imagination at your local comic shop. Visit comicshoplocator.com to find a store near you.
Fight Club.
Today's comics market is ripe with new titles by creators who are determined to get their books into your hands. My name is Henri Compan. For the last decade, I've been making and selling my own creator-owned comics and dealing as a collector in live sales. My signature series, Yi Sun Shin is the book that cannot be defeated in battle and has over 250,000 copies in print. Now I'm taking comics to the next level and laying the groundwork for my fellow creators to get their voices heard so they can connect directly with you. This is your chance to engage live with top comic book talent and get your comics signed without having to wait in long lines or pay any fees. But remember, we only have a limited amount of their books in stock, so always remember to call it as you see it.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Pull List with Kyle. I'm Kyle, as you can see. Coming to you live from lovely Toledo, Ohio, where there's less snow on the ground today than there was yesterday, which is always the goal. I want to give a shout out to Joel. Thank you, Joel, for donating to Bink for my birthday. Today is my birthday, everybody, and I've donated my birthday to Bink. Bink is the Book Industry Charitable Foundation. They give cash to comic shop employees, comic shop owners, comic shops themselves, bookshop employees, bookshop owners, and bookshops themselves. Not big bookshops, mind you. Real bookshops, local bookshops in their times of need. They helped a bunch of people get through the pandemic, but they also help you when you have other needs, like if you're in Texas or Oklahoma or one of those states where they just went through that historic cold snap and things were bad. If you had to, they will help you. Because that's an unexpected expense that makes it hard to operate. And Bink shows up and helps out with that. So I'm putting a link in the comments once again. If you want to click on that link and donate to Bink for my birthday, that would be great if you can. No pressure, no worries. We set a super, super conservative goal, and we're just hoping to blow that goal out of the water with your help. If not, it's totally fine. I get it. Everybody's in a different spot. So, next things next. Next book, last book. This is the last new book I want to talk to you guys about. This is Minions Sports #1. Okay, I get it. You're looking at me going, Kyle, why are you going to get a Minions book? Why are you telling us about a Minions book? Yeah, it's true. I mean, local comic shops, Joel Says Comics, and my LCS helped me get me and my kids through this last year. And it's true. Local comic shops have been there for people, and people have been there for local comic shops. But sometimes stuff just isn't, it isn't possible. There's no way to stop an ice storm. Can't do it. Global pandemics happen. There's no way to stop that. And Bink is there when those stores need help. But back to the Minions. And Minions Sports. The reason I want to talk about Minions is simple, right? Minions are awesome, and if you don't like them, you're wrong. But this is Minions Sports #1, so this is ahead of their next cinematic outing, which is in The Rise of Gru in July of 2020, which was last year. The Minions, so this comes before Rise of Gru. This is one of those books that got delayed because of the pandemic, but this takes place before Rise of Gru. The Minions are at it again with even more banana-related mischief. But in this new series featuring hilarious stories, the Minions take over sports. Guys, it's little yellow dudes who are obsessed with bananas, running around, playing sports. Guys, and if you don't understand how big Minions are, 34 million Facebook followers, 1.3 million on Instagram, 300K on Twitter, and over 60,000 comic books have been sold with the Minions on them. I can't believe it. Like, that's That's up there with some of the big titles, right? With some of the big characters. Minions are great. They're super. I love watching the Minions movies with my nephews. We have to do it through Zoom now because they live in England, but still hanging out with my nephews and watching Despicable Me and watching the Minions stuff is great. This is another one of those books that you will have no problem sitting down with your kid, sitting down with your grandkids, sitting down with your nieces, nephews, and picking up this book and having a good read. There's something in it for everyone. The humor is not all little kid humor. There are some sneaky stuff in there. Like all of those great animated movies like Shrek and Despicable Me, and trying to think of some of the other ones I really like. How to Train Your Dragon. Some of that, there's always a little something in there for the grown-ups. So this is that as well. This is a comic book version of that. So shout out to the Minions. Minions Sports got me all kind of shook up, and I'm very excited to pick it up tomorrow. So let's run it back, guys. Let's take it from the beginning. Normally I would use this time to tell you about the things you should be adding to your pull list. Things that are on FOC this week at your local comic shop. But I didn't do that because there are so many new number ones. There's so much outlay from comic shops this week that I wanted you guys to have a full understanding, that maybe this isn't the week to be worried about that stuff, even though, it's going to cause a little bit of problem, and you should totally look at Previews Magazine. I guess we can talk about that. Previews Magazine, previewsworld.com. You should totally be checking that out this week. Came out last week for all of the stuff. And then letting your local retailers know, hey, I want to add this thing. Normally I would give you a list. I'm not going to do that tonight. We may be able to get to that in our later show with Dan and I, but we will figure that out at that time. But let's run it back on the new books coming out this week that I think you should be picking up. And we'll start with the last book we talked about, The Minions. Minions, Sports number 1. Paranormal Hitmen from Behemoth Comics. Again, this is Ghostbusters meets The Sopranos, which, again, not a hard sell, right? Pretty cool concept. Jana and the Unpossible Monsters from the Samneys. This is a whole family book about families. You've probably seen the commercials here on the Experience. In fact, why don't we just real quick take a second and watch the commercial for this here book. I just have to cue it up. This is, let me see if I can find it real quick. Watch, I'm not going to be able to find it for you guys. But, yeah, you've probably seen the ad for Jana and the Impossible Monsters here on the network. I don't think I'm going to be able to get it for you right this second. Oh, here it is. This is the Jana trailer. There you go, guys. That's Jana and the Unstoppable Monsters in stores tomorrow. Other books I think you should be checking out this week. If you're a fan of Saturday morning cartoons or you're a fan of Japanese animation, The Comic Book History of Animation number 4 is out tomorrow from IDW. Chariot, which is Kit, essentially. Again, this is a story of a super weapon car that was designed in the 80s for a secret agent in the Cold War, and then it disappears one day into the depths of the ocean, and then it falls into the hands of a guy who you would normally say is not the guy who should have it, but he's got it for good reason. So what happens when someone who's trying to turn their life around gets control of a supercar? Oh, and by the way, the secret agent is still using his consciousness to control the car. Right? Speaking of sentient things, ENIAC number 1. Guys, this is the story of a real-life supercomputer that real life existed in real-life World War II. Like real life fiction. So you've got, again, you've got the story of the real supercomputer that was really developed during real World War II. You can go see it at University of Pennsylvania. Like, for real. How many more times am I going to say real while I'm talking about ENIAC? Like a whole bunch. Because other real things that happened in World War II is you got the development of napalm. You got the development of the atomic bomb. You got the development of this, the world's first supercomputer. But here's where it takes a twist. What happens if that supercomputer becomes sentient? Yep, it can think for itself and do what it wants. And now we're not only at war against the Axis forces in Europe, but we're kind of at war against our own supercomputer. That part's not real, but everything else is real. A lot of real life here in this book from Matt Fraction with Doug Braithwaite on art. Again, only available at Bad Idea stores. So go to where'sbadidea.com to find out which stores you are carrying it. I will tell you that from the network, it's Miss Jen at Space Cadets Collection. It's Aaron at Comic Shop. It's Dr. Christie at Oh Yeah Comics in Muncie. And those are ones I know for sure. So maybe one of those guys can help you out if your LCS isn't one of the about 300 stores that are Bad Idea stores. Next up, running it back, Star Wars High Republic Adventures number 2. Better than regular High Republic. I tell you, I'm calling it now. High Republic Adventures number 2 is a great way to tell this story, and it's super fun read. From Peach Momoko, she's doing it all on this one. Writing, and drawing. So this is Demon Days, the X-Men from Peach Momoko number 1 out tomorrow. A couple of more books. Starward from Heavy Metal. Written by Steve Orlando. Remember, this is a girl who finds out as she's going off to college, like when you're supposed to be like finding out about, dating and drinking and drugs and being an adult and all of that fun stuff you already have to deal with. It's her job to keep the chaos of the mythos of the world at bay. And she doesn't know it until it's almost too late. So from Steve Orlando and Heavy Metal, remember guys, Heavy Metal is my one of the publishers on my list of I trust them implicitly now. Joe Illich is the publisher over there and is a great guy. By the way, Starward, you would think it might be Minions because how long I talked about Minions. You'd think it might be Paranormal Investigator or Paranormal Hunters because of how long I've been talking about that book. It's this one. It's Starward. This is my pick of the week. But we also have a couple of other hugely important books in the comic industry, including Berserker, a book with no vowels in the title by a guy whose first name is almost all vowels, in Keanu Reeves. So make sure you check that one out. Also, Matt Kint, Shock of Shocks. Matt Kint's amazing. And the last book I want to remind you guys about this week as I run out of time is Infinite Frontier number 0 from DC Comics. Whoo! So much happens in this book with so many characters. Just be prepared. It's a little insane. I am going to get out of the way, and we're going to bring on Miss Jen and Hannah for the Minute to Skim It, where they read a whole bunch of books and tell you about them. It's a great show, so stick around for that. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
and welcome to Minute to Skim It. I'm Miss Jen,
And I'm Hannah.
and we're digging through this swanky stuff that Garrett Gunn sent us to go along with our really cool Christmas Caroline ash can package. It's like pins and square coins. I mean, like, that's like a real metal coin. What the heck? And then, like, hand-drawn cards.
Yep.
Garrett Gunn, we give you hearts. Sorry, I can't make one right now. I have a half a heart for you. So anyway, sorry. We have lots of books to review for you guys today. This is an all-review show. There's no buying on this show. We're just here to talk to you about what things we love. And it was a little bit overwhelming this week. As Kyle's told you, there are a lot of really great books that are releasing. So many so that even if we just read all number ones this week, we probably wouldn't have made it. So you should definitely go to your local comic shop this week and grab up some goodies because your mind is going to explode from all the coolness to read.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually start with a book I read last week. Sorry, Kyle. This is a trade paperback, and I'll tell you why I decided to read it. It's called Write It in Blood. Oh, man. That's right. Oh, not Garrett Gunn. Yeah, Garrett Gunn. He's in all kinds of stuff that we're going to do today. So this is Write It in Blood. This is a book from, does not say which company on the front. That is hilarious. This is an image book. Written by Rory Conville, Jill Palmer, art colored by Crystal Halloran, and many other awesome things. But the cover and design is by Declan Shelby, our dude. So the reason I read this book is because of the pitch. The pitch is on the eve of their retirement, two hitmen, Cosmo and Arthur Price, so they're brothers, drive through the Texas countryside with a hostage in the trunk of their car. And they're not 100% bright. They're basically discussing the whole time whether their boss is going to be giving them, for example, like a watch for their retirement. These are hitmen, by the way. Hitmen, not like, watch salesmen. No. So that was the pitch. I didn't need to know anything else. So I will tell you that it is all that it was cracked up to be. Write It in Blood is so good. It has lots and lots of violence, as you might expect from two hitmen, and has big twists, such as one of the brothers slept with the boss's wife. That would mean you're not going to get a watch. That might mean that the boss sends someone to kill you. I'm just saying.
Probably.
Yeah. So definitely try to pick this up. I think this was released last week. It is a $15 gem of a book. And it's so worth it. And it does leave it in like a nowheresville. It does not have an end. It just kind of like wanders off. I'm like, okay, I'm in. I like wandering off books. Your turn.
Crime Syndicate. Welcome to Earth 3. So this is, even though it doesn't say it at the top like most of the other ones say Infinite Frontier, this one definitely ties to Infinite Frontier.
As opposed to the last series of books. So not Future State related.
Okay. So
Bridges?
actually, I think I'm going to start with the Infinite Frontier because that might be easier.
Is that Bridge the Gap better?
Yeah.
Sorry,
So-
Kyle. We're switching it up. Infinite Frontier.
So Infinite Frontier. Read this one before you read any of the other DC books this week.
Yeah.
Before any of them.
Okay, so here's the deal.
So-
She's going to give the review on this book, but I've got to give you some background. So they kind of like DC pitched this book to us as like, oh, this is a neat book. You might like to have it. It's a cool book for people that are like in Future State. And then one day ago, they dropped that it was infinitely important to the forward motion of everything in the universe. Great.
Yep.
So have fun finding one. First appearances galore.
It is exactly what they said. It is infinitely important to the future of DC as a whole. And
part of their pitch said the words President Superman. Is it true?
I'm not gonna
It says
say
it on their actual solicitation. It can't be secret.
I'm not gonna say that I understand it, but it's kind of there, I think.
A wild Garrett has appeared. We were talking about you just now.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say that I understood everything that I read because I don't think you're supposed to. This is because a lot of it also goes back and touches on like metal and a little bit
close-up.
and a little bit onto Joker War and everything.
So it touches on everything.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
shoot fire.
yeah. Yep.
Exciting.
I can't say much else about it. Just
I see.
but
Angel.
it does have the list of what other books are tied to it, and it's pretty much everything.
Perfect. I see. Angel's watching us, and Richard, and Pat, and Joshua, and Garrett, and Tina. Hi, everybody. All right. Again, I'm going to do one more excursus. This sweet, sweet guy came in. I've actually been talking to him today back and forth because I told him I wanted him to come and do a signing. There exists in this world really amazing, talented people who don't believe that what they have is talent, or that they don't think that it's talent enough. And so I guess that this guy came in this last weekend. Was it Saturday?
Saturday.
You want to say what his mannerisms were? Were you there when he came?
I was not. I was helping other customers.
So they told me that he acted very, very, very nervous, and that he was nervous to ask us about whether we would like to have these books. So I'm going to show the books to you, and you tell me if these seem in any way to be an inferior product, because they are the cutest things ever. They're called Wonder Who, Wonder What, Wonder Where, Wonder When, Wonder Why. Okay, so there's a big series of books. It's not like he just made one copy in his closet or something. You can find these online at woodsable.com, so WOODSABLE.com, or at all fine comic stores near you, probably. And his Facebook hook is Wonder Book Series. So they're really, really cute board books. So they're meant to be early readers.
Mm-hmm.
Early readers. Yeah, I know, I went faster there. Woodsable.com. Nope. Just woodsable.com. Yeah. And it has cool things like this. Like there are many, many more things that who can be. Just look in the mirror at who you can be. It's inside of you. All you need to do is to be the best who you can be, always, anywhere, and anytime. Who are you? It has a little mirror in it. Mm-hmm. So it's all positive coolness.
Yeah.
That are like really great books. So anyway, this is for you, Philip Woods, who came in and was super nervous. You should not be nervous about your amazing things. They're really, really cute. I have to keep going because I'm the one that read 1 million books this week.
Yep.
The ones I did not read, but I didn't figure you guys needed me to read them to tell you that they're amazing. But I'm just showing you these to remind you. Star Wars High Republic #3 is out. Our main character there in the center is on the hunt. And the second part that ties in Star Wars High Republic Adventures #2, which is a confab between IDW and Marvel. All the same storyline. Be paying attention because these actually tie together. They're important to each other. And there's novels that tie in and some other things too. So be paying attention to High Republic universe. It's the first new stuff, really truly new stuff we've gotten out of the Star Wars universe in forever, as far as I can remember.
All right, I'm going to do my Crime Syndicate now.
Okay, now Crime Syndicate.
I don't think it matters which ones of the Infinite Frontier you read after you read Infinite Frontier #0, from what I can tell. Mm-hmm. But Crime Syndicate #1, Welcome to Earth 3, where it's good to be bad.
Earth 3 is the one to be bad in, okay.
Yeah. I mean, Ultraman.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. This one focuses on all of our favorite villains that are related to the heroes. So like Owlman.
Owlman. I don't know all these people. That's pretty bad.
That's okay. We just need to get you playing the right version of DC Deck Builder.
Yes.
That's how I know them.
Mm-hmm. Anyone else DC Deck Builder players out here? I didn't know a thing about DC until I started playing that.
Yes.
Like being Shazam. Mm-hmm.
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 I don't really want to say too much about it just because there's so much that happens in this book and it all kind of happens very quickly. Because it kind of takes you through pretty much everybody you see on the cover.
Does it have a very clear line between it and the Infinite Frontier, or does it feel like it's like
this one's not
opposites?
This one's not really as clear, but it's like I can feel that it's there, but I just can't put my finger on it quite yet.
But these are our baddies, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
Yep.
Gonna have the baddies.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, that's going to leave a mark. Okay. Also from Marvel, there's a great many things coming out from Marvel this week. There's a billion things that tie into King of Black, by the way, that I did not get around to. So don't miss any of those tie-ins. There's Wiccan and Hulkling, and is there a Spider-Man?
Captain America.
Captain America. There's a lot.
Thunderbolts as well.
Thunderbolts. I love the Thunderbolts.
Mm-hmm. The variant cover is super cute.
But this one is the one we need to start paying attention to. If you haven't already jumped into the storyline of Enter the Phoenix, this is Avengers number 43. And it's getting down to they're fighting it out. They're kind of duking it out to see who's going to be the Phoenix. And in this book, it feels like they've got it down to two that are going to fight. And it's so weird to me because in my mind, the Phoenix is its own thing. It's not gonna just because like Hannah and I did a fist fight and Hannah beat me to a pulp doesn't mean she gets to be the Phoenix Force holder. Phoenix Force is gonna choose where it wants to go. So
right.
I don't know. So
You're the redhead.
I guess so. So I think there's gonna be some kind of someone's gonna be the champion, is what I'm gonna guess. And then I think the Phoenix is gonna choose whatever it wants.
Right.
So
right.
I think that all wraps up in the next issue. So just know this is kind of like you're getting right to the edge there, and there's a nice big spoilery image on the last page. I think I need to keep going because I think you got it. All right, this was a cool book that they've been talking about for a while. This is Cthulhu Invades Oz, which is not just a one single story, but many, many stories all put together. I'm going to read you some of the talents that are involved in this series. There's some of them you'll be able to tell right away. I can actually show you interiors here because this is not a new book releasing today because it was kickstarted. Let me see if you guys can decide if you can magically tell me who this artist is that did this section. Of course, I could find it every single time I went to see it before. Can you tell me who that artist is? That's our friend Jamie Primack that did Binary Star. And let's see who else we've got. Travis Gibb is responsible for this awesomeness. And
he just came on.
Did he
poof? Just in time.
And a wild Travis Gibb will appear. There's Don Wynn art in here. There is Danny Morales, Brian Silverbacks. I think of all the people that you actually know out of this list from just like hearing their names. David Galliano, Chuck Pino. Forgive me if I say anyone's name incorrectly. Richard Rivera of Stabby Bunny fame. David A. Byrne. It just goes on and on and on. And Jamie, so many people that have worked in this book. And all of the different sections are a different style of art. And they all deal with the crossover completely of the Wizard of Oz universe and Cthulhu. So if you're a fan of either H.P. Lovecraft or of Frank L. Baum's storylines that are more than just, the one main one. There's a bunch of stuff in there. Mm-hmm. The thing that I like about the way they did this book also is at the very end of the book, they have a yellow brick road that you can try to go down. And each one has a place for someone to sign. And if you're lucky, you'll get a book that has a bunch of signatures in it, like this one has. This one's got some Travis Gibb autographs in it. And Heather Gibb, see? You get Travis and Heather in here. So anyway, this is a really fun book, probably supported by local comic shops near you. If not, you can probably track them down. Travis, you can totally put up your socials if you want for Cthulhu. Everyone's been waiting on it for a good long time. So I don't know, I put it down there. Put it back up here, goodness. And there is also a glow-in-the-dark version of that book. It's a Kickstarter only variant. Yep. And I was waiting for this one. I actually they were trying to put bags and boards and tickets on these, and I was like, joink! Mine. This is out of Dark Horse Comics, written by Matt Kent, Tyler and Hillary Jenkins doing art. This is Fear Case, about the magically crazy, scary case that comes with instructions that you either have to, within X amount of days, give it to someone you hate, or if you don't do that, then it magically goes to someone you love. And it comes with instructions not to open it. So what's inside? No one knows. And this is issue number 2. There are 2 guys trying to hunt this down, trying to prove that it is not actually just conjecture or fantasy or urban myth, but is an actual case. And they get real close. Also, out this week, America Chavez, Made in the USA, number 1. It's been a long time since she's been in print for Marvel. This one has her on an adventure, but interspersed in the pages of the book, there are actually really wonderful looks at her past and her adopted parents. And it's kind of like the best possible way to teach you about a character, but not actually just sitting down and make you reading like a page of text. So you don't have to like read that. It's kind of given to you in the story in a much more pleasant way. And I love her. She's awesome. Your turn.
Suicide Squad number 1, Infinite Frontier. It's been a while since we've had Suicide Squad, right?
Yeah, I think it's been done for, I'm going to guess, a year. It feels like it finished right pre-COVID.
I think so. Oh goodness, which book was that? I remember they had mentioned that Amanda Waller had started getting another group together.
I don't remember.
Force. I don't remember which book that was.
Amanda Waller. She's always up to no good.
Yeah, I know. Character I love to hate. Especially in DC Deck Builder, her card is horrible.
Yeah.
But so we see the new team. You can see them on the cover. And so this is the first time that we're seeing them in action. And
look, you
can't say anything else.
Be exposed to the Peacemaker. You get to see Peacemaker and Suicide Squad too, but
yeah. There's other things that happen though that I was not expecting to happen. And I can't say anything about those things, of course. But don't miss it.
Do any of the original Suicide Squad members appear?
I cannot say.
Okay.
But I will say, I do love this new team together because they don't get along at all. Like, not even a little bit.
It's the way it should be, right?
Right. But
did
like,
anyone listen to the song Heathens? It's the only reason that movie's any good. I'm just admit it. You go through the whole movie going, why does this even happen? It's really about Amanda Waller putting together a team to rescue herself. I don't get it.
Harley was great in the movie though.
And then Heathen comes on at the end and you're like, this is the best movie ever. You have all that neon stuff, like knives spinning around, right? Admit it. It's just that song. All right. Frank Gogol. Let's see if we can get him to appear. Go. No. Dead End Kids, The Suburban Job. Suburban Job. Last issue, we saw the kids find a bag of cash in the woods. And, you know, bags of cash in the woods probably have, you know, someone that owns them that's probably not a good person. So they're basically trying to decide what to do about it. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, the person who this money belongs to is slowly torturing people / beating them up to find out if they know anything about where the bag of cash went. What could go wrong?
What could possibly go wrong?
Pat saying, Pat, you are not Frank Gogol, but you're close. You're so close. It's really, really good. So it's the second part of a series that started with just regular Dead End Kids, in which they're trying to investigate the murder of one of their friends. And all of these kids are from the wrong side of the tracks, so you get to see what life is. Just like, if you didn't get brought up with a silver spoon, this is what life is. You got to make your way. Sometimes the things you choose are not all the way on the up and up. Do I have to go again?
Yes.
Okay. I was so excited to read this one. So excited. Demon Days. The whole thing drawn by Peach Momoko. And as far as I know, written too. So imagine you took a good X-Men tale and set it in ancient Japan. And not all the characters, or actually none of the characters, are straightforward X-Men characters anymore. So, for example, Wolverine may not be anything more than a dog. And you might see a Hulk-like character in a totally different way. But the basic story is that the spirits that live in the mountains become very distrustful and are dangerous to people in villages because the villagers go and have no respect for what's going on there and mess it up all the time. And a character that's like I think they call it like a snake or something, which ends up being Venom, has come into the town and takes over the temple every once in a while. And they have to call on a magic using person that lives in their village to come and try to help them get rid of this Venom character out of their temple. So it's a full-on tale that doesn't really tie in to anything that's reality in the X-Men universe, but it's so beautiful. Like, you think to yourself, I wish this really did happen in the X-Men universe. This is really, really cool. And it's so beautiful. So if you wondered if Peach could only do covers and not really do sequential art, then you were wrong. Peach does an amazing job at sequential art. Still? Mm-hmm. Okay. The end again. Everyone's been talking about this book. This is ENIAC. And those dirty dudes at a Bad Idea decided to wait until today to drop, actually this morning, first thing this morning, drop the news that the follow-up story that was originally slated to be at the end of ENIAC 1 as a full second story arc had been replaced instead by the beginning of the story arc that in number 3 of ENIAC is going to be the part that appears in Hero Trade. This one starts out with Briefcase? Oh, no, I can't remember the name of the story. It's so cool, though. But there's a full other story that appears at the end of the book, so don't miss it like end credits.
Right.
It is called... Oh, please. I'm going to be really surprised if I actually got it right. It's called A Briefcase! I got it right. Okay. And just like you heard from Kyle in his awesome description of this book, it really does involve a look at what was a real computer that was created and instead put some lore to it that it actually became sentient and did some things it shouldn't have done, like dropped a second bomb. That was not our responsibility. It actually had done that on its own. and other things. And so this book is basically about them trying to find a way now in modern day when it has access to the internet and other things. How in the world could they possibly conquer this, has its tentacles into every single digital anything and has all the surveillance that you possibly want at its disposal? How would you ever try to figure out a way to turn it off or destroy it if it knew everything that you did? It's an amazing story. So don't miss it. It's Matt Kent writing and Doug Braithwaite and Diego Rodriguez. And it has this really beautiful spot varnish on it, super thick cover weight. It is worth way more than the cover price. I will tell you that right now.
All right.
Yes.
Swamp Thing, number 1. Rom V, writing. Surprised you didn't read this one, Jen.
I couldn't read everything. That would have been mean.
That's true.
And I was like,
That's
I claimed some things. I was like, okay.
I mean, it was mostly this one and then the DC books.
Okay, good. I was hoping I didn't take ones that you really wanted.
No, I already will get a chance to read the other ones later. So.
Good.
All right, so Rom V, I don't. There's so much that happens in this book that I don't know what I read, but I loved it. There's like 2 different parts to this story. One that takes place in like a desert, and then the other part that takes place with this guy on an airplane and, follows him through his airplane ride and then home. But they tie together. But I can't really say how.
Yeah. That through line is too spoilery.
Yeah. Especially since there's only gonna be 10 issues, which makes me sad but happy because there's still gonna be more than just like a couple. So I just want Ron V to write Swamp Thing forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really can't say anything else.
They tie together because that's what Rom wanted.
I mean, yes, but it's so good. So good. The artwork in it is fantastic. And yeah, especially with the desert part, because you don't think about Swamp Thing when you think of a desert.
No, like I don't think you could go there at all.
Right. That's I can't say anything else about it, but it's
I was like, I heard somebody.
Spoil me.
Spoiler alert! Jenna's in the room.
Give me all the spoilers.
No.
Nom. I eat spoilers for dessert. Nom.
All right, for this next book, I don't know if I missed the pitch for it or what, because I should have bought way more of these. This is Noctera by Scott Snyder. I don't know why. That escaped me also. And Tony S. Daniel.
I wondered if it did.
Yeah, I mean,
It's so good.
I ordered plenty, but not enough.
I read half of this one.
So the premise is that due to unknown event X, all of the sun either gets blocked or goes out or something. They call it. They start talking about, like, instead of AD in BC, they have PM, which is post. I don't know, just like
Meridian.
I don't know, but it's basically that everything goes dark, and then it kind of like jumps forward in time and kind of like has a lot of back and forth kind of narration in this main character's mind. Yeah, it's so on fire. She has become kind of like a runner of people between, the parts of society that are still operating, because you have to stay in the light. Otherwise you get this weird disease, which turns you into some weird creature. It doesn't, and it happens whether you're a human being or an animal.
Yeah.
And
it's so cool.
It looks terrifying.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to get it.
No.
If anyone comes to the store tomorrow with like black Sharpie drawn on their gums, I hate you. Don't do that. Don't. Ew, but it would be the easiest cosplay ever, and only like 12 people would know what you're doing. if you did it at Comic-Con, you'd be like, "Well, man, that guy's got bad teeth." Or another one else would be like going, "Ah, it's gonna turn." All right, so don't miss Noctera. It has some really great variant covers, by the way. And this is from our friends at Source Point Press, The Eighth Immortal #2. I love #1 so much I had to read a #2 today. This goes far. So if you want to talk about a book series that jumps giant amounts of time, the majority of the origin parts of what you're seeing in The Eighth Immortal happened back in like cave person times. And actually this one gives you, don't try to, yeah. Is this a public service announcement, Kyle?
Yes.
Oh, yes, I like that you've gone back to, hey, it's Kyle. That's my favorite one that you put on your thing. I don't like that it might be Kyle. I like it, hey, it's Kyle. So this one, it does give you an origin story for who the people are that we see in the future that are all immortals. And this has got a lot of brutal violence in it, nudity and adult situations. So just be aware that it has all those things and gorgeous art. I really do have to keep going, don't I? Man. How many do you have left?
I have 3 left. 4 left.
3. Okay, so I can go one more. Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Okay, Chariot. Oh my gosh. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to do it really fast. This one's going to be an easy, fast one. Ready? Haunted car. That's all you need. Haunted car. This girl drowns in her car. Flashy lights happen in the car. And then this guy works at a junkyard. He gets told he can fix up a car if he can find one that he feels like he can fix up, he can keep it. And then haunted car. It's the best. Yeah. Yeah. So far, the car itself doesn't talk.
Casual Fling #2, which, Jen, you gotta go back and read this one since you read #1 already.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I feel like some wife wrote this. Or husband. A wife or husband that was cheated on wrote this book. This is a cautionary tale.
Yeah. So what you read in the first one, where, oh goodness, I just forgot her name.
Doesn't matter. She's a businesswoman.
Yes. And then she's married, has 2 kids, and then decides, I need some change in my life. And so she has what she wants is just a one-night stand with this guy. His name is Alex. I remember his name. And
And that all happens in issue 1, by the way. We're not spoiling anything.
Yeah.
Yes, you didn't read it.
And then she goes home and I really can't say much
Well,
else.
the very end of the
first book, you see that he was totally filming it and he was wearing a mask. He just said it was something he was into. Clearly that's not the case when,
he's
when you're
totally
it.
blackmailing her.
Yeah.
But it's not for what you think. It's a business thing. It's a business thing. Keep it in your pants, yo.
Yeah.
Business.
With the business.
Oh my gosh. Way too many air quotes going on.
That's how I do. It's all about it.
It did go a bit in a direction that I was not expecting it to.
Oh.
So,
because at the end of the first book, when it became that, I was like, well, this is not where I thought this was going.
right. And then I can't say anything. Because
I hope she turns it on him. Gets him good.
That's why you gotta use the air quotes, man.
That's right. All right, Garrett Gunn, it's your turn. Garrett Gunn, it's your turn. Jenna should be on the show. Not having read anything, just color commentary. You have a sticker on your mask. That's awesome.
Oh!
How much are you?
I don't know. Tell me.
$25.
$25 can get you a Jenna.
I'm expensive. Look at me go.
Do you take layaway? All right. Christmas Caroline. This is the beginning of a really cool program by SourcePoint Press, in which they've got an Ashcan program. So you're going to start seeing these at your local comic shops. This is the first of the program called Christmas Caroline. And Garrett Gunn and Kit Wallace have just done amazing things in this. Imagine if you lived in the world of elves and Santa Claus, and they were not all color rainbows and niceness, but instead occasionally had hit people show up like Caroline.
Oh no!
So it's funny because Kit's art is a lot like Scotty Young-esque, and it's leaning, so you feel like you're reading up, oh, it's all cute, isn't that nice? Oh no. Uh-oh. So do get one of these. They come with a special something in here. I think you can only get the program. So definitely pick one of these up, these cool previews, and add it to your pull list at your local comic shop for sure, because if you like violence. If you don't like violence, it's totally not for you. And also part of the program is, bags of swag, cool stuff. So you might see some of those things or ask those of your local comic shop as well. We're good. We're caught up to go back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Batman 106 Infinite Frontier. That's right there. Yeah. Also featuring Robin. Hearts from a Smooth, yes. So this is pretty much broken up into two parts. One part with Batman, one part with Robin, because as we saw, I can't remember how long ago it was, but Robin left the Bat family. And so now we've got... Okay. So I'm going to say this now. When you read Infinite Crisis, you're going to see some flashes to stuff that happens in this book. That's why you got to read that one first.
Oh, okay. So you didn't understand it.
Yes.
Okay.
Because I read them the other way around and I was confused until I read that one. So that's why you got to read this one after that one. And then the other ones, it doesn't really matter what order you read them in, but can't say much because everything else that I kind of already talked about in the other. Yeah.
Is there something key that happens?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Definitely.
Is it more air quotes?
No.
Hold on.
Actuals.
And then the part with Robin, I was really upset when the book ended, and I was like, but I need to know what happens next right this second. So
you're gonna have to wait a couple
I
weeks.
know, but it's okay because I'm just gonna reread it over and over. So
all right, from Aftershock, Undone by Blood, the second series that's starting, The Other Side of Eden. You may or may not know that. Oh my gosh! Only when I'm trying to think of his name can I not come up with it. Daryl from Walking Dead. The actual actor.
As soon as you say it, it's gone.
Miss Viv.
That's what I do. It happens every single time.
Miss Viv will know.
It'll come to me as soon as I stop thinking about it.
Norman Reedus.
Thank you, Norman.
Oh,
Norman's
yes.
production company bought the rights to the series, so you're going to see him in one of these roles, which I don't know which one he would be in. Probably the Western guy, if I was going to guess, just for him. So this travels back and forth between two different timelines, one of which probably is actually the book that the main character is reading. He himself is planning and being part of a heist, it looks like during the Great Depression. And this all happens in a very Western setting, but it's probably the book that he's reading. But it plays out as part of the storyline. So if you like books that aren't straightforward, just one thing or the other, you will love this. I like how Kyle knew that right away.
Sensational Wonder Woman #1. How
How many number ones are there this week? Dadgummit.
I
It was a
know.
heavy week for
I hope y'all brought thick bank for your polls for tomorrow. Man.
Yep. Yep. Trying to figure out what I can and can't say.
Hey, is there Wonder Woman in it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Did she use her lasso?
No. Okay. I know. But I just remembered what happened. So
We had to shake the tree a little bit.
yeah. I know that this one's gonna be a series. But I think it's gonna be it feels like it's a one shot.
Oh.
But I'm really glad that it's not because I want to know what happened prior to what happens in this. It kind of just puts you right in there.
Oh, dude.
But yeah. I really can't say anything without spoiling anything because what you think is happening may or may not actually be happening.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I'm gonna say. I love those kinds of books too. So.
All right. Actually, we did end up still being off by one, right?
No, I think this one.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Ian Fleming's James Bond, Agent of Spectre. Oh my gosh, I hope this is the way they do one of the movies so badly. Because I've always wondered if this was ever going to happen. So this was basically James Bond kind of like tracking down Spectre agents. And that's all well and good. That's exactly the way you would normally expect a James Bond book to go down. But he gets assigned specifically from the head of his agency, which is M, to go and hunt down Blofeld specifically, who in this instance they describe him as being 6'6" and 200 stone. Who knows what that is? 200 stone sounds like a lot. So a really big dude, which is not the way they present him in the films, right? Because that actor is not either of those things.
No,
He looks like a dentist, but a very dangerous one.
Aren't they all? Aren't they all?
Oh, that's right. But there's a big twist that happens in this book. And probably from the title, Agent of Spectre, you can probably figure out what the twist is. But I want to let you take that journey for how that works out. So if you've never, ever, Twin Stone is, okay, that's not it. So maybe I misunderstood. Maybe it was 20 stones? I don't know.
Because a stone is 10.
Some stones. We'll say 20 stones. He's a truck. He's really a transformer. That's the twist. It's really a crossover with
What a
Transformers.
twist.
That's right. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, that hurts.
All right. From Oni Press, Jonna and the Unpossible Monsters. Yes, unpossible.
Impossible.
So I think I read the preview in previews, whenever it was in previews, I can't remember how long ago it was. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need this. I need this in my life. So this is Jonna, and behind her you see the Unpossible Monsters. The Unpossible Monsters do not make a huge appearance in this book, and neither does Jonna.
False advertising.
It's okay though, because first you meet Jonna and her sister is looking for Jonna. So she's on the search for Jonna and the Unpossible Monsters.
Okay.
So the Samneys wrote this book for their 3 daughters. And the 2 main characters are like, what's the word? Like
Are they patterned after them?
Yes, exactly that. They are patterned after their oldest 2. And it's super cute. And that's all I need to say about it, really, other than
Do you have to be a young person to enjoy it?
no, you do not. And on the back, it's got some art, so it's pretty great.
I don't actually think it's aimed at a younger audience because it doesn't have an all ages like mark on it or anything. It just happens
It's
to be
definitely-
really adorable.
It definitely is marketed towards it, though. It's an okay
I'm gonna
for
drop
all
this.
ages.
All right, I've been waiting for this daggum book for an entire year because Boss handed me like an ash can of this way back then. So Dead Dogs Bite. I had to read the first part of the chapters back then whenever the ash can, and I was like, I've got to know what's going on next. And of course, it's taken until now for this book to come out.
Yeah.
Because COVID. Basically a big mystery. There's a mystery that's happening in the town. There's a girl who disappears, but you don't see her disappear. The book starts when she's already gone.
Mhm.
And it's mostly about that character there is her best friend. Or they could have had a romantic attachment. We're not real sure yet. It's kind of a rough and tumble town, small town feel, where she's kind of like totally from the wrong side of the tracks, just kind of given her behavior and the way she acts. But she pairs up with this friend's boyfriend, we'll do air quotes there, to go and try to hunt down. We'll do air quotes for that. I still don't know. It's one of those questions that's left out there. And I'm just going to like tell you guys things that I glom onto in my head, okay? So the name of the main character who is missing is Cormac Guffin. So to me, the thing that I take straight out of that name is the MacGuffin that's sitting there,
Right.
which is the thing that dangles around in a movie to further the story plot. Right? It's everything within me not to just like type to Tyler Bond. I think I figured it out. Shenanigans. She's just forwarding the story. And I've also figured out something else. I think there's an interaction that happens out in the very beginning of the book that there's not a resolution of a story that's supposed to be told. But I think that's the MacGuffin. I think that is the actual thing that if we were paying attention to that one act, we would know the answer to the whole thing. So you guys, if you catch it too, you guys tell me if you think that's what it is. And probably, I mean, Tyler Moss never plays anything straight. So probably is in there just to make me think I know what I'm looking at. And probably is like, oh, Jen, you're so funny. I got you.
Nothing.
That's right. I am but a student. He is the master. All right, was that all of them?
Yep.
All right, there are a lot more books than what we could review today. So please do use comicshoplocator.com to find a comic shop near you. Be aware that for ENIAC, number one, there is a strict limit of one per customer at your stores. I don't know how they deal with it. If you go running around every store in the neighborhood to get a copy for you and your sister and your brother and your whole family, I'm sure that's within the rules. But do not give your store that you go into any guff about not giving you more than one copy of it. Or if they do not have a first print, but instead have what's called the not first print. Just take it and read it, man. The part about this book and company is that they just want you to fall in love with the books and reading. So do not give them a hard time. Don't fall into that whole craziness that you have to have 20 copies of something that you just need one to read. So surely there's a comic book shop out there that can serve you by giving a book to you about that. And if you can't, get another one and wait for them to make enough prints to get it later on. They are going to. That's the way they promise to do it for their company. You will always have access to their books. You just have to wait for them to make another print. And the reason why the print run was small, just so you guys can know, is that because of the spot varnish on the book, they actually went to production before they actually did the FOC on it. And it caught them. And so they've learned their lesson, so they'll know for next time. It's not because they were doing crazy shenanigans. It was because they wanted to give us a superior product and do a weird twist in which they gave us a different story at the end. So that's fine too. All right,
The
everybody.
button demanded it.
The button demanded it.
demanded it.
Yes.
The
Yes.
button man. You never know what he's going to do next. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us to a minute to skim it. Kyle's going to be coming up again soon to talk more about what's coming out tomorrow at your shops.
What's up, everybody? I'm Kyle. See, Kyle. Oh, my name didn't come up. That's weird. I should fix that. Anyhow, welcome into the EXP News Break. This is our second week in a row. This is our new thing we're going to do between Minute to Skim It and in stores this week, where we talk for about 10 minutes today and maybe 15 minutes some other days, maybe longer, maybe shorter, about what's happened in the world as it relates to comic books, superheroes, and other pop culture-y things. So I will be your host, Kyle, and just so you know right off the top, I don't take anything seriously ever. So all of these news stories are real news stories just seen through my real twisted view. I do want to say, just as a reminder, guys, and not that I'm doing anything, but it's my birthday. And I am raising money for Bink with my birthday, and I was told it was okay to share the link to the fundraiser out to you guys. We set a real conservative goal. If you guys could throw just a couple of bucks at it, the money from Bink goes directly to comic shops, comic shop employees, comic shop owners, bookshops, bookshop employees, and bookshop owners. And we're not talking about big multinational conglomerates. We're talking about real stores like you see on our network every week. And this is to help them with pandemics, weird random ice storms in Texas, power outages, gas explosions, surgeries, whatever comes up in their lives, Bink is willing to help. So if you would be so kind as to help us blow past our super conservative goal, that would be great. But now, the news. One of the things that's been talked about a lot in the world is superhero fatigue, which is not what happens when Steve Rogers gets tired. Although I would imagine that that's also called superhero fatigue, but that's not what we're talking about. This is that thing where people get tired of superheroes. I didn't realize that was a thing. I've been doing it for 32 years, 33 years in a couple hours. But, like, I'm not tired of them. And neither are you, apparently. DC, the new head of DC, Bob Chapek, says that he doesn't see superhero fatigue being a thing, even though there is some concern in the industry about it. And he really pointed to it's bared out in the numbers, right? More people are watching WandaVision. More people are going to see the Avengers Endgame. Like, guys, like, it's not superhero, but this is how desperate we are for content. Tom and Jerry is the second highest grossing film since the pandemic started, behind only Wonder Woman. And Wonder Woman was free on HBO Max if you had HBO Max. That means people still went and spent $16 million in theaters to see Wonder Woman. Superhero fatigue is not a real thing, and if you hear people talking about it, they're wrong. Okay? We good? All right. Tom King, the legend, is launching a new Superhero Woman of Tomorrow series in June. Supergirl returns with her own title. In Woman of Tomorrow, Tom King is at the helm of the story. As part of this week's Infinite Frontier number 0, available in stores today and tomorrow, depending on what your store does, DC announced a new Supergirl 8-issue series subtitled Woman of Tomorrow that will launch in June. Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow promises to be a character-defining masterpiece, the likes of which have never been told before, for DC's maiden might. Look, the Supergirl TV show was dope. Tom King is a great writer. Why am I selling you on this? Right? It's really cool that Tom King has transitioned beyond the Batman story that he's done. Right? It's really cool that Tom King has transitioned beyond the Mr. Miracle story that he's done. And now he's taking on Wonder Woman, which will be, to my knowledge, his first female lead. Which would be super fun. And again, Tom King's a great writer. And you get this this chance for a different take on it in this new universe that we're talking about with Infinite Horizon. What are they calling it now? Infinite. Oh, come on, scroll back in my notes here. Anyhow, with Infinite Frontier. So you've got this new Wonder or Supergirl book coming in Infinite Frontier. But the thing about Infinite Frontier, guys, is remember, it picks up kind of where everything left off before Future State. So all of the Dark Knight's Metal stuff is relevant, all of that kind of stuff. And then Future State so we're here, so Dark Knight's Metal is here. We're here in this Infinite Frontier universe, and way over here is Future State, or at least we think. And now we're giving Tom King Superman right here in the middle, right now and today, with all of the Dark Knight stuff having happened and all of the Future State stuff yet to come. So it's definitely worth checking out in that regard. It's Tom King. You can't really go wrong. Let's see. What else is there? Okay, so Fox has announced that it is animation domination is expanding, and not in the way I had hoped with them bringing back Saturday morning cartoons. No. They're going to bring them to you on Monday nights. So in addition to their already stellar animation lineup that airs on Sundays, Fox is moving Duncanville, which is the Amy Poehler-led series starring Amy Poehler and a couple of other people, where Amy Poehler plays the lead character of Duncan, who's a totally average teenager. They're moving that to Monday nights and pairing it with a new show called Housebroken that's also animated. Now, what's fun is that the animation domination stuff, it's always been family driven in a way. So you've got The Simpsons, which is a family. You've got not family like it's family friendly, but family like it's based on families. The Simpsons, King of the Hill, American Dad, The Great North, Family Guy. All these shows that have been part of the animation domination lineup have been based around family. Housebroken is not. Housebroken is about pets. So it's a mature ages cartoon about the lives of pets, not called The Lives of Pets or any of those things that have already happened. This is a new one. So that's worth checking out. And then the final story, is that, well, I've got two more stories, but I'm only going to do one. CW has picked up Superman and Lois for season 2 after only one episode. Because one episode is enough to tell whether or not there should be a second season of a show that already existed, kinda. I don't know if everybody's old enough to remember the original Superman and Lois Lane show with Dean Cain and Terry Hatcher, but I am, because I shouldn't have been watching it. I was way too young for that show when it was on, but it was Superman and Try and Keep Me Away. But this is more of an Arrowverse style show, so it's more family friendly, it's more comic book accurate, it's more all of those things you want it to be, but it's back. They aired one episode. It debuted to huge numbers, wildly successful, and they're following it up with a second season after only the one episode, which is an interesting take for sure. And then the last story I have for you is that Scout Comics has signed a non-exclusive deal with Lunar Comic Distribution. which only really matters if you're somebody like me who is a comic book retailer, because options are good. For years and years, we only had one option as to where we could get our comics from. That was Diamond, and there was nothing wrong with that. But now Lunar is there, which is where you get your DC books. Scout is going to Lunar in addition to shipping direct to stores, in addition to shipping from Diamond. So multiple options make it easier for stores to get books for you. So that's good news. I'll get better at the news, guys. Maybe I'll make less jokes. Maybe I'll make more jokes. Maybe I'll abandon the news to get altogether actual news and make it up as I go along. We'll figure it out. But we will be back in just a second with In Stores this week with 100% less Nick than you're used to. So we will be back in just a couple minutes.
Today's comics market is ripe with new titles by creators who are determined to get their books into your hands. My name is Henri Compen. For the last decade, I've been making and selling my own creator-owned comics and dealing as a collector in live sales. My signature series, Yi Sun Shin, is the book that cannot be defeated in battle and has over 250,000 copies in print. Now I'm taking comics to the next level and laying the groundwork for my fellow creators to get their voices heard so they can connect directly with you. This is your chance to engage live with top comic book talent and get your comics signed without having to wait in long lines or pay any fees. But remember, we only have a limited amount of their books in stock, so always remember to call it as you see it.
What's up, everybody? It's Kyle. I'm back, coming to you live from lovely Toledo, Ohio, where it is dark now, and there is significantly less snow on the ground than in the pictures. This is In Stores this week. Normally, Nick is here, and I'm bringing Nick on by saying I'm not Nick, but we should bring him on. But he's not here this week, which is okay. He's taken a week. No big deal. But we are joined by Dan Wickline. Dan, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yay! The technology worked this week.
Well, I figure if I come in after you're already live is when it seems to work. So that's
I'll figure it out. Maybe it's Nick. Have we considered that Nick has a plate in his head? And that could cause a problem?
It's possible, but it'd be a pasta plate probably.
That was great. We're off to a good start.
We are.
Making pasta jokes.
I know.
Without Nick here, we talked and we decided that we wanted to talk about the sheer number of number ones.
Yeah, it is. It's almost overwhelming. I mean, I know I handed you, talking back and forth, we had a list of like 12 or 13 first issues between Infinite Frontier Zero, all the stuff from Boom and Dead Dog, and then forgot the bad idea book,
ENIAC.
ENIAC, yeah. So there's another one. So if this is basically jumping on point week for anybody looking for a new story. There's plenty to offer. But before we go into that, happy birthday, Kyle.
Thank you, sir.
What is it? 21st birthday?
I am 33, feeling like 73. But I've had a good day. I got a new toy. I got a teleprompter, which is what I was using to do the news, to read my news. I used it for my show. I put my notes on it.
Nice.
It's super fun. but it's really hard to read at the speed that it's scrolling, so I have to figure out how fast I actually read, so I can set the scroll rate, like, so I don't have to keep going to my phone and going back and forth with it. That was super fun. And another piece of news, and it doesn't matter to anybody who's watching, but I signed the lease today to expand the comic book shopping experiences production studios.
Nice.
So we're going to have more space to do more fun stuff. Like, I don't know, maybe have me not have to sit the whole time. Or because, doing that, I broke my chair during Jen's show. That was super fun. So, I'm balancing precariously right now. But, it'll let us expand and we could do more with it. So that'll be super fun. So.
Oh, cool. Now, you're not in New Jersey, are you? You're in...
No, I'm in Toledo, Ohio. This is Toledo in the picture, actually. So this here is our hockey arena. And if I go right here, this is actually the dream location for my next store.
Nice. Right across from the hockey.
And it's one of the oldest buildings in town. The penthouse suite of this for years was owned by Al Capone.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Nobody knows if he ever actually went there or if he just used it as a stash house for like his dudes who were running booze through the area. But it was owned by him.
He might have had a girl locked, not locked up there, but, paid for, kept up there.
Yeah. Like there's no records of him ever being there, but he paid the rent every month, which is more than you could say for a lot of people.
Especially nowadays.
Right.
It's been tight, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So do we want to get started on some books?
Absolutely.
Where do you want to start, my friend? You're driving this ship.
All right. You know what? I want to start with the one non-number one or the book, just because of the charity aspect of it.
Absolutely.
Mike Mignola's The Quarantine Sketchbook hardcover. Now, if you don't follow Mike on social media, first thing you should be, but during the quarantine he started doing sketches, and it varied from Hellboy to other pop culture stuff. Some reason I thought he started doing cartoon characters like Grape Ape and stuff like that. I don't remember, but I just remember being every day he was posting new images, and then he would auction them off for Chef Jose Andres' World Center Kitchen, which is feeding people and helping out people who need food and stuff. It's a great charity. And Mike was giving the money to that. Well, Dark Horse has put this book together as a collection. You get all the sketches and stuff, and all the proceeds from the book are also going to the World Central Kitchen. So you pick up this book this week, you get to help people out, and you get an amazing collection of Mike Mignola sketches of characters he wouldn't normally draw.
Yeah, no, it was true. And what's weird about it, and I don't know if it's weird or not, but I couldn't find the cover on the sites where I normally go to do my show prep. So I had to go hunting for it, and I'm like, well, if I've dug this far, I might as well just buy it. So I ordered it from one of the shops here on the network, who had it available for pre-sale. So I got mine coming. I'm super happy with it. I love Mike Mignola.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably going to head over to the Comic Factory in Pasadena tomorrow and pick up some books there. I've got a couple stores around here, but I also I'm near Frankenson's collectible thing that happens on Wednesdays and Sundays. So I don't have a store right by me because of Frankenson's. So I always have to travel. So I either go out there or I go out to Chino to Comic Madness, or I go down to Long Beach to see my buddy Mike Wellman at Atomic Basement.
Yeah,
So
I've wanted to visit Atomic Basement. I follow them on social media.
Mike's a great guy. He is. He used to co-own the Comic Bug with June, and now he's off on his own with his comic shop. Did a lot of great stuff over at the Comic Bug. So, looking forward to doing some stuff when things open up a little more over at the Atomic Basement.
Absolutely. So if you need to get that book, reach out to your local comic shop. If you want to get the Mike Mignola book, reach out to your local comic shop. If they don't have it, it is available from numerous places. And again, as long as you're buying from a reputable source, all the money goes to World Central Kitchen, which has really helped a lot of people through the pandemic and through just hunger in general. They are one of the leading organizations that fight hunger in this country and around the world.
And if you don't have a local comic shop, you should check out the comic shop locator, and they will help you find one. There are tons of them, as you see on the bottom of the screen, as Kyle's pointing. There are a lot of comic shops out there who would be very happy to help you find anything you're looking for.
Absolutely.
You can call, you can show up. They do pull lists, most of them. They will take care of you. Comic shops are there for you. So if you don't know what you're looking for, go in there, tell them what you like, and they will guide you. But we're going to try to help you do that tonight. We're going to move on here. Why don't we go with this?
Well, we probably ought to talk about one of the big releases of the week, one of the biggest, most important releases. And I actually steered you wrong. I didn't think it came out this week. I thought it came out next week.
Berserker. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, Berserker. Berserker is a cool looking book. You get Keanu Reeves and Matt Kent. I mean, Matt Kent is already probably one of the top comic writers right now in the industry. You team him up with Keanu Reeves' first writing. You put Alessandro Vitti on the art, and I think you've just got a hit right there. But it tells a story of an immortal warrior compelled to fight throughout time, except now he's working for the U.S. government. That just sounds like a bad idea, which means worth reading.
Right. It's true. Yeah. I mean, it's one of those. Ooh, I dropped my thing. It's one of those books that's like, okay, you can already kind of see the movie, right? You can already kind of see, okay, Keanu might even be aged out to play this role, but it's a guy who's basically half god, half human, and immortal, and his job is to kill people, especially when it's bloody and gross. I talked to a friend who used to work for a government agency, and he talked about how other agencies had what they called wet teams, which were the guys they sent in when it was going to get particularly bad. And this is a one-man wet team in that regard. But, my pitch on this one is it's got no vowels in the title, and Keanu's name is basically all vowels. So, it's a good way to remember it.
Yep. Plus, it's easier to trademark when you make up a word. If you take all the vowels out of a word, it's pretty much made up at that point.
True.
But this here is the Raphael Grandpa cover. There's also a Mark Brook cover and a Lee Bermejo cover, who I think is one of the top Batman artists in the country. So I love, there's some great covers on this. Go in your shop, jump in on a brand new book. Now, I think this is like a 10 or a 12 issue series.
It's a 12-issue miniseries. This is issue 1. It's a lot of stores ordered real heavy, so they should have copies for you. I will warn you, though, not all the covers will be available tomorrow. There are some covers that won't be available until next week. That was, Boom let everybody know they're doing a series of metal covers, with the metal flake in the ink. And those just take a week longer to produce. And if they wanted to stick to their FOC date, they needed it. And then with the immense popularity that this book garnered, they actually had to push the release date back to this week from last week, and then push the release of the foils back another week, or the metal covers another week. So just know that, the main covers will be in stores tomorrow. Some of the variants, some of the metal covers won't be available until next week.
But don't wait. Just go ahead and grab one of these copies and read it and enjoy it, because you're going to want to save the metal covers. Put it in a slab it or something like that. So this should be pick up your reading copy, get it, enjoy it, get a brand new universe to play in, see how Keanu Reeves is as a writer. So,
yeah, and so I was in a meeting with Philip Sablik, who's the publisher over at Boom.
Yeah, I know Phil. Yeah,
and Morgan Perry, who is their retailer rep person, who is a wonderful human being. Just throwing that out there. A lot of times you bring on a celebrity and then you bring in a writer, and the writer does the work, and the celebrity just kind of is like, yeah, that is not how this went. Keanu would take a pass and send it to Matt, and Matt would, edit primarily, but clean it up, and Keanu would would come back. Do you think it's too violent? Or do you think it's not violent enough? Or do you think we should change this? He was actively involved in writing the script in a big way.
I
that's
totally
a big
see
bonus.
that. Everything about Keanu seems to be genuine. He doesn't seem to phone in anything. Mm-hmm. And when I saw that he was co-writing it, totally. I mean, I've co-written with people before, and I've seen those kind of formats where it's like one person's doing the bulk of the work and the other one's just kind of, adding curse words.
Right,
and
one person's ghosting.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I couldn't see that with Keanu. Just everything about him seems to be genuine. So I'm really looking forward to picking this book up.
I agree. I ordered a bunch of different variants on this, a bunch of different covers on this one.
Nice.
All right. What next, Dan?
Let's go to American mythology. I like giving the indie books to love, and also this is Jim Kohoric is working on this, which is an old friend of mine. This is Beware the Witch's Shadow, Soul to Keep #1. This is kind of like one of those old monster series like EC, where it's got your snarky hostess character and then a bunch of anthologies stories inside. This, of course, being the Mike Wolfer cover. There's also, I'm not sure of the cover and the name of the artist on the main cover. I just got I know Mike Wolfer's work. And you got two big stories in this. You got one that's about basically undead in space. And I think anytime you put anything in space, you get a whole new level,
Mm-hmm.
I did a series years ago for 30 Days a Night where we put vampires in space. And I had a night where Todd Farmer was giving me crap about that. He kept picking me. He said, "Can't believe you put vampires in space, man. Can't believe you put vampires in space." And about halfway through the evening, I finally remembered, oh, yeah, Todd put Jason in space.
Yep.
So the undead in space. And then you also get a story about a con man who's basically losing his sanity, which that just sounds like an interesting premise to me. A guy who's quick thinking, always on his feet, and now he's starting to lose his mind.
Yeah.
That one got my attention. So, and I know there's some backup stories, and I don't know the details on them, but again, I love little anthologies, get different talent and stuff like that. So I love seeing an EC style anthology coming out again. And I've been impressed by American mythology so far. So I'm looking forward to picking this one up.
Yeah, I mean, American mythology, they first came onto my radar because they were doing like Rocky and Bullwinkle and stuff.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden they started hitting with these more, horror EC, style books. And then they launched, like this one has it, where it's a, what's the word I'm looking for? Risque variant.
Yeah, the risque variant.
Yeah, and I'm not a collector of those things, but it's okay. This company went from Rocky and Bullwinkle and maybe a little bit of like Underdog to this kind of thing, and it doesn't seem out of place. It just seems like a logical progression. So,
weren't they doing the Three Stooges as well?
Yeah, they still do the Three Stooges.
Yeah. So, okay, and since we already spent some time with Dark Horse, let's finish up with them on Dead Dog's Bite.
Yes.
This had one of the funniest. The thing that caught my attention in this book is minor. Now this is about a woman who's gone missing. She's been missing for about 3 days. The police have nothing to go on. The entire town is just acting like she's already dead. They're not really searching for her. They're like preparing for her funeral. and only her best friend Joe is even trying to find her. Now, this is a new book from Tyler Boss, and the thing that stood out to me, was the name of the missing woman, Cormac Guffin.
Like Cormac the Magician?
No, Cormac. Oh, I don't know about that, but I know. Basically, if you drop the first three letters, it becomes MacGuffin, which is a mystery plot device. You know what a MacGuffin is, right?
Oh yeah, I mean it's.
So he's literally named
I
MacGuffin.
can't get past Cormac because Cormac great.
Cormac's a unique name. I'll give him that, but he's basically naming his MacGuffin. I love that. That's just, yep. Plus, the art looks cool on it. I love the cover, and this is another one I want to definitely check out when I get in the shop. So,
absolutely, I trying to get the image here to throw it up on screen. That was one I had trouble finding as well. There were a couple weird books that I'm like, we should have images for these that I just struggled to find today for whatever reason. Including this one, which will come on the screen in just a second.
There we go. Yeah, see, that's a nice moody cover. Kind of gives you almost a Twin Peaks vibe from it. And I like the font on the lettering. It's got a nice gothic, or on the title, it's a nice gothic feel to it. But Dead Dog's Bite, everything about this feels like a mystery, and I'm a sucker for a good mystery.
Yeah. Well, and it's Jen talked about it, and I didn't mention it, but I've heard others talk about it. A lot of us got the ash can for this book. 2019?
Uh-huh.
And it was delayed because of the pandemic, and it just did nothing but in our minds build. Like it's one of those things is that, oh, okay. It's finally here. Let's go. We've been waiting a long time, and it totally lives up to the hype.
Nice. I'm definitely looking forward to that one. Okay. I seem to be going through this alphabetically, so we might as well hit the DC since we're after Dark Horse. I am a sucker for the Crime Syndicate. Oh, you're jumping down. Okay, we'll go to Infinite Frontier.
Well, I have Infinite Frontier in front of Crime Syndicate only because, just as a heads up, we'll jump to Crime Syndicate here for you, but you need to read Infinite Frontier first.
Yes. Okay.
Before you read Crime Syndicate, before you read Batman, before you read anything else, this is your first DC book because it ties into all of them.
Let's stick here then. We'll stick with Infinite Frontier. This is a new start. I mean, this is the next big thing for DC. It's what they've been building up to for a while. You got a new, possible new Wonder Woman. You've got Joker attacking Gotham in a way that surprises Batman. And I don't know much of that would surprise Batman. He seems like he's got all the angles and stuff, and then you got Amanda Waller trying to put a team together to invade Arkham. And the Green Lantern's Corps is holding a summit of all of its enemies. I mean, there's a lot going on in this book. You got Black Adam joining with the JSA or Justice League. So this is one of those books that you kind of get everything. It's your starting point, but also you get your Batman, your Wonder Woman, your Superman, your Justice League. Everything you want in a comic you can get in one book. It's
true. And the thing about it is it's a big, thick book with a ton of stories in it. I'm trying to pull up you've got a Justice League, a Batman, a Wonder Woman, a Wonder Girl, a Green Lantern, Alan Scott, Teen Titans Academy, Superman, Green Arrow, and Black Canary, Stargirl, Green Lanterns, and the Flash stories all in this one. Oh, and by the way, Mayor Superman. Just going to throw that out there.
Mayor Superman.
Just going to put that one out there.
We had Mayor Green Lantern or Green Arrow. Why not?
Right. But just as a reminder, guys, so over here is Dark Knight's Death Metal. That event we went through. And then here's where Infinite Frontier happens. and over here somewhere is future state.
Right.
And this is the beginning of the transition between the two, and how do you get from one to the other, and what happens.
Yep. So if you've been reading Future State, you definitely want to pick up this book because this is how we get there. Future State was the tease.
Yep. Future State was the taste.
Yep.
So, yeah. And then we'll jump to Crime Syndicate.
Okay. I loved the idea of Crime Syndicate when I was a kid. The idea of there being a Justice League that's evil, but it's not just, here's evil Superman. They actually have different names. It's Ultraman, it's Power Woman, it's Owlman, it's Power Ring, and Johnny Quick, and they can add as many characters as they want, basically from Earth 3. So I love that, and they're also going to play around with how the team. We're going to tell the story of how the team comes together. And it makes sense when a team of heroes come together because they all have that same purpose. But when a team of villains come together, villains by nature are selfish and they want, greedy and having other people to take a cut. That usually doesn't work out well.
No.
So you got that. And then you've got Ultraman's origin story being done by Brian Hitch. We do not get enough Brian Hitch art in the average day. I mean, that's so... Yeah, Brian Hitch on Ultraman, and you get the beginnings of the Crime Syndicate. I love this. Absolutely love this.
No, and the thing of it, this is one I haven't read yet. I picked it up because I picked up all the stuff that ties in to Infinite Frontier. And I haven't read this one yet, but it's Earth 3.
Yes.
Which is not an Earth that we spend a lot of time on. It's the Crime Syndicate, which is not a group we get to see all that often. And their writers, with the exception of McCown, that we get to see play around all that often either. It's like these are guys who are usually stuck on a book with a ton of mythos and a ton of backstory because of their ability and their strengths. And this is letting them play a little bit, and I'm here for it. And I just love the tagline, where it's good to be bad. Like, it just, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So
now, I don't know if he's going to play a role in the series, but of course, this is the planet also where, if you're a fan of the Crisis on Infinite Earths, where the Alex Luthor comes from, who was one of the good guys in Crisis.
Mm-hmm.
So it's flip-flop. This is the DC version of the Star Trek mirror universe in a sense. This is Spock with a beard.
Forever.
Yeah. So
I love it. All right.
Yeah. All right. What else we got from DC? Sensational Wonder Woman #1. Now, this is Stephanie Phillips, who has been doing a lot of great stuff lately. And she's taking this is for the Wonder Woman's 80th anniversary. So they're going to do one of those episodes. In TV, you'd call it a bottle episode, where it's all kind of self-contained. Dr. Psycho does something to her, and she ends up in this alternate reality in her mind and has to figure out who she is and what are all the things that make Wonder Woman who she is. And it's got Hawk Girl helping her out. So I think this is going to be a fun series, but it's going to get to the heart of the character. And right now, I think that she's the perfect character to be in the forefront, with this day and age. I think Wonder Woman is a great character to move up into the spotlight.
I love bottle episodes. Or am I like alone in that? Like when I'm watching a sitcom or I'm watching a show and a bottle episode shows up, I'm like, yes, I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, I'm a fan of bottle episodes because they take away all the set dressing and BS, and you end up focusing on the story because you're contained in it. Mm-hmm. It's all in their headquarters, or it's all in their apartment, or and the bottom line is it's to save money on the production. But I have always been a fan of bottle episodes because I think there's some of the best written ones because you've taken away all the extra gimmicks that a lot of shows use. And I think that's going to be what this is, that you're boiling it down to the heart of the character. So if you're a Wonder Woman fan, this should be exactly the issue you want to pick up, because it's really going to focus on who the character is and what she's about.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's more DC stuff. There's more number ones from DC, but we'll come to them after this quick commercial break. It won't be very long, I promise. Here on In Stores This Week, now with 100% less Nick.
It's what we do in the comic shop. It's what we do in the comic shop. When we power down those neon lights in the back room, we're still burning bright with Dr. Christie, real sweet too. It's time to move some back issues. It's what we do in the comic shop. 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 It's closed.
Welcome back, everybody. This is In Stores This Week. Normally Nick is here, but he's not here tonight, so it's just me and Dan. So we're actually not bringing you nearly as many puns.
Because do I need to up the pun level? Because I can do that.
No, I don't need to cry. It's my birthday.
Okay. For your birthday, I'll keep the puns down to a minimum. So
cool. Let's keep going with the DC stuff.
Yep, I adjusted my camera down during the break so you can see I've got my Suicide Squad T-shirt on tonight to go with the new Suicide Squad #1. Now, this doesn't have to do with the shirt I'm wearing, but it's obvious with the new James Gunn movie coming up and the spin-off series with John Cena that's going to be on HBO Max of Peacemaker. They want to push Peacemaker to the forefront of this series, and he's now the leader of the Suicide Squad. So this is going to be, his show at this point, which I'm good with. I think the Peacemaker's a fun character to mess with and see what he's going to end up being. Lost my train of thought there for a second.
No, I made the joke a few weeks ago that James Gunn says that his Suicide Squad movie is no holds barred, and that it's a very violent film, which cool. But I made the joke that it would be the first time John Cena has ever done anything no holds barred in his career. And that would be interesting because Vince McMahon couldn't protect him. So I'm excited for the film. I walked out of the first one, but I'm willing to let James Gunn have a shot at it. And this is one of the books I did read already, and I will tell you that Peacemaker plays a prominent role, but not maybe as prominent as you would think for the leader of a group.
Interesting.
There's a fair amount of exposition. And it feels like maybe the person doing the exposition is purposefully avoiding Peacemaker, or that it could be Peacemaker himself trying not to be that guy.
Uh-huh. Well, you've got my curiosity now. Now this is where they're actually breaking into Arkham Asylum to get Talon, right?
Right. So you read Infinite Frontier 1, which has the Amanda Waller plot to break in, and then you pick up Suicide Squad number 1, and it tells that story.
Yep. And like I said, I think this is kind of the new direction for the Suicide Squad because of the movie coming up. Just like Harley Quinn was the big, push on Suicide Squad, the last iteration, because that's who was the big push in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No, it's true. I mean, one of my qualms with Marvel or with DC's cinematic universe has always been that they take a movie and they push a character because that's the next person with the movie. They could do Superman, Batman, but they make them both look weak compared to Wonder Woman because she has the next movie.
Yeah.
I hope that's not what happens here. Or if it is, I hope they push Peacemaker because he's got the next comic book rather than the next cinematic thing.
Yeah.
It's my hope.
Yeah, I always wondered why they don't do better symmetry between the films and the comics. I always, it's like, why isn't there an MCU comic line that's set in the MCU universe? So if somebody walks out of the movie and they want to know more about Captain Marvel, then there's a line of comics based off of that character.
Right.
Because you have to go into a completely different, everything's different when you read the comics. And half the time, it seems like a character's dead when they're in the movie,
It's true.
I don't get why they don't do better synergy between the two. And DC's the same way. DC seems to do a little better, but not well enough. And then, of course, I think DC is missing their Kevin Feige still. Without that, it's like the announcement of the new Superman movie. It's like that feels completely disconnected from every other movie out there.
Yep.
And and then you got a Batman movie that's going to be completely separate. And it just seems like if you've got these characters that are supposed to be together, you need more of a cohesive voice. And I think they've lost that since Snyder kind of stepped away from that role.
Absolutely. So one of the other books that came out from DC that I read and that I'm excited about is The Swamp Thing number 1.
Yep.
Written by Ram V.
This one surprised me that we're actually looking at a different Swamp Thing. Because I kind of got the feeling that I want to say Ted Sallis, but Ted Sallis is Man-Thing. Alex. I thought the Swamp Thing was more of the creature and less of the person who became him.
Got it. Yes.
So having a new
Alan Moore was like that. The Alan Moore run was like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Josh Dicehart's run kind of continued that as well. So I'm really curious what they're doing here by making a new Swamp Thing, a new Guardian of the Green, and that he can actually transform into Swamp Thing, which is a new aspect we haven't seen before.
Right. I will tell you that in this book there are 2 stories. There's a primary and then a secondary story. One's not a lead and one's not a backup, but it's a first and second story. And they do tie together. Can't tell you how without spoiling the book, but there are two distinct definitive stories in this book that are, linked.
Nice. And they're both Swamp Thing stories, or are we looking at a backup character? No, Swamp Thing? Okay.
No, they're both Swamp Thing stories. It's like they're from different
perspectives?
No. Here's what I'm going to relate it to. It's like when 2 sitcoms have a crossover episode. Same
Okay.
time, same person, same thing, just different space being occupied. I'm trying to figure out how to say it without spoiling it.
All right. I think everybody should pick
It
up
would
this
be
book
like
just
when-
to try to figure out what Kyle's meaning here.
It would be like when Urkel would show up on Step by Step, or when Emmanuel Lewis would show up on another sitcom. Like, it's not canon, but it's not canon. And I don't even want to say that because I don't know what's canon. It's let me stammer through some more stuff. It's like it takes place at two different times,
Okay.
but not times. Like it's one happens in the morning, one happens in the afternoon, or one happens on a Monday, one happens on a Tuesday. It's not like it's one is from now and one is from the future, or one is from the past and one is from the future. They're happening in the same time, but not at the same time.
Well, wouldn't Tuesday be the future to Monday?
I'm gonna leave. Yeah.
All right.
No. It's like I said. It's they're not two disparate times. They're similar in that way.
Okay. I want everybody to go buy this book. Come back on Thursday night. We should get together with a little discussion group to try to figure out what Kyle's saying to what actually comes out, and we'll try to figure it out. We'll have a discussion group. We'll all get together. Okay.
I've done a really poor job of it, but I can't think of a way to do a good job of it without just giving it away.
And that's fine. We don't want spoilers. So everybody pick up this
It's making
book.
me nuts, though. It's making my brain hurt, Dan.
Yeah. Now this whole thing takes place in India, right? So we're moving location. The first story is in India.
Yes, it's set in India, which is a place with which Ram V is very familiar. It doesn't feel like it has to be, though. Like if you don't want to read it that way, it's like the location is less relevant, even though it's certainly relevant.
Okay.
It's not like it'd be a Batman story set in Central City. It's relevant, but it's not as relevant as saying Batman needs to be in Gotham kind of thing.
Batman in Central City could be fun.
I don't disagree, but
I think he'd get mad that there's no gargoyles.
right, where's he going to stand?
Yeah, exactly. There's no brooding spots,
Just get a little tall ladder or something.
Yeah, it's like all spires, Okay.
I don't know.
Let's move out of DC here and get to one of my favorite books of the month from Dynamite. James Bond, Agent of Spectre. I have loved what Dynamite's been doing with Bond from back when Warren Ellis was writing it, when Ben Percy came on the series. They have just had one good story after another. And I mean, I go back to having read the actual Ian Fleming novels, having seen all the movies, and every Friday on my Facebook page I post Your Friday Connery, where I do a tribute to Sean Connery. I've been doing it for about 2 years now, so I'm kind of a Bond fan. And I think what Dynamite has been doing has been absolutely wonderful. And I'm really looking forward to this series. It's Christos Gage. It's Luca Casanueda, I believe that's how you pronounce the name. Luca has been doing the book has done other books, but this is Christos' first thing on James Bond, I believe. And it's Blofeld, it's Felix Leitner. It's all the elements you want in a good James Bond. And we've been postponed so much on the next Bond movie that let's get our Bond fix here with Agent of Spectre.
True. No. So my thing about James Bond is I'm significantly younger than James Bond's stories, so I didn't get to see all of the old great James Bond movies, until I was older. But I first became familiar with James Bond when it was Pierce Brosnan. Maybe not the greatest time to become a James Bond aficionado, but it did introduce me to a character that I was interested in enough to go back and learn. So I got to see Sean Connery after the fact. I got to see, all of the originals after the fact, and then I've been caught up since then. And my thing is that the comics that Dynamite does have always felt like they fill in the gaps the movie glosses over.
Yeah.
There are things that the movie you can't really go into tremendous detail in a 2-hour movie. You can, but you have to make sure you hit your plot points. You have to make sure you do things. So you can't spend 15, 20 minutes on some little, I'm going to call it a side quest, but some little side story. And these books give it a chance to do that.
True. Now, I'm a little older than you, and my first Bond was Roger Moore. I saw Moonraker in the theater when I was a kid. So I also went back to find Sean Connery, but it was usually on like a Saturday afternoon movie on the, TV with my dad type of thing. I have kind of mixed feelings on the different, well, not mixed feelings, but I like all the Bonds for different reasons.
Yeah.
For me, the two that are the closest to what Ian Fleming created are Sean Connery and Daniel Craig. Yeah. They're much more the bull in the china shop. They're brute strength, where Roger Moore and Pierce Brosnan were much more stylized, much more not flamboyant, but elegant,
Yeah.
And I could appreciate both of those styles. I even liked Timothy Dalton and George Lazenby. So I'm a fan of all the Bonds, but I've been really impressed by Daniel Craig. To me, James Bond's Roger Moore, because I was 7 when Moonraker came out. Yeah, I don't remember what year Moonraker came out, but I was probably not much older than that. So Roger Moore was my first Bond, and Moonraker is a horrible Bond movie to start with, because it is the height of the gadgets. It's a height of the campiness, but then it was a camp era, so it made sense at the time. But you watch that, and then you watch Dr. No, and it is like night and day. Well, these comics are very similar to the actual novels, to the much more gruff, brutish style Bond that you get with Sean Connery and you get with Daniel Craig. So I think these fit really well with today's era. They don't have the difficulties of some of the older Ian Fleming books. There's some what's the term we use nowadays? Problematic moments in the books. You don't have those here, but you get that style. And I think if you're a Bond fan and you're not reading Dynamite's James Bond books, then you're missing out. These are really, really good, really worth picking up. Grab this one at the store. If you want to pick up other ones, go over to the trades. Look for the ones by Warren Ellis, the ones by Ben Percy. There's a Moneypenny special that came out. Gershmish Moneypenny. I mean, these are all great. If you're a Bond fan, I highly recommend these.
Absolutely. What's next?
Noctera is what I got on my list here. They're from Image. And you've got Scott Snyder teaming with Tony Daniels on a creator-owned project, which, I mean, who didn't like the stuff Scott Snyder has been doing on Batman? So now I get to see him just kind of create his own little universe. He goes a bit sci-fi here and a bit horror, with a world where all the light is pretty much gone, or, it's forever permanent darkness, and there's monsters in the dark, and you have to have a light to keep them away. So that's That's a great horror setup right there. And your lead character drives an 18-wheeler that's all illuminated and is pretty much the transport between cities and anywhere you got to go. And that's pretty much the premise for this book. Which
you have to
sounds
stay in the light or you become
one of the monsters,
infected and become one of the monsters, but people don't know right away that you're one of the monsters. Like, it's a whole thing. So it's I kind of think of it as like the car from I Am Legend with the big bright lights on the top, you know, that scares the bad things away. But this is an interesting take, but it is Scott Snyder, you know, and it is Tony S. Daniel on art. So even if you're not generally into horror action books, this is one maybe take a chance on, but just note it is a scary book.
Also, keep in mind that if you're a fan of 18-wheelers, this is probably the biggest thing for you since US 1 was out by Marvel.
It's true. I thought you were going to say since that song Convoy came out.
Which was before US 1, but yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but Convoy, yeah.
I forgot US 1 was a thing.
How could you ever forget US 1? Ulysses, I don't remember what the S was, but Ulysses something or other.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah. Didn't it end with him a space trucker?
Something like that.
Yeah.
It lost the plot pretty early on.
Yeah. Comics.
All right. Yeah. It's true. What else we got?
Let's go on over to Marvel. We got Demon Days, X-Men #1 by Peach Momoko. And she has been blowing up. I have been seeing her cover work and her artwork all over the place. Well, this is her writing and doing the art. She's telling kind of an alternate or like a what-if storyline where you have a wandering swordswoman ends up in a town that's being overwhelmed by these demons. And it's pretty much the demon is one of the demons has got to be Venom. And I think our main hero is obviously Psylocke. But this is kind of an alternate reality version of the book. It's one of 6, I believe, 5-issue miniseries. It's premium format. This is great for if
once
you're
a quarter.
Once a quarter?
Yeah, it's prestige format once a quarter.
Once a quarter prestige format, 5 issues. This is great for somebody who's a fan of Akira Kurosawa type films. I mean, I know that's been really popular lately with The Mandalorian, which has been was a big influence on the Mandalorian series and Star Wars in general. So if you're a fan of those type of movies, this is kind of the X-Men set in an Akira Kurosawa film with more manga-ish practicalities. I don't know what the word I want there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is just going to be something really unique, and it could be a lot of fun. And I think I'm definitely looking forward to this one. It's unique art style. It's really, I keep using the word unique because that's what you got to, just looking at it, it doesn't feel like anything else out there from Marvel right now, and probably not like a lot of things on the shelf, period.
Right. It's true. I mean, and this is Peach Momoko doing it all, right?
Yep.
So it's a new talent as a writer kind of thing. It's, you don't see Peach write very often. And I don't know if we ever have since she's become really noteworthy. So that's interesting to me. And the other thing that's interesting is that, yeah, one of the things is clearly Venom, but there's something bigger than Venom involved.
Yeah.
And what is that? And how is that going to affect everything? And then again, it is set in that kind of Japanese setting, that kind of manga style setting. So this is a great one to introduce to your Junji Ito readers, your people who come in for the manga Berserk, your fans of the more horror style, action-packed style manga.
Yeah, if you've got a friend who doesn't read comics, but they are into anime and manga, buy up this book. Bring them a little closer to the dark side. Bring them on over to the Marvel Universe. This may be the entry point for them.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on down, we have King in Black Captain America #1. Now, the King in Black series has been going on, has been great, but here we get Cap, we get Winter Soldier, we get the Falcon, and we know the Winter Soldier and Falcon are going to be huge with the new series coming up starting on March 19th. So you knew they were going to be pushed into the spotlight at some point, but here they're teaming up with Cap to battle on the streets of Manhattan against Knowles' forces. And there's supposedly something infecting Cap, something kind of a darkness inside of him. So it seems like maybe Knowles getting to Cap, and it's going to be up to Sam and Bucky to save him. So this should be a really interesting series. Mirka Kolak is doing the artwork on that. Danny Lohr is writing. This should be a really fun series, or a good series to jump in on. The cover looks absolutely gorgeous right there. But if you're following the King in Black series, if you're not, this might be the way to get into it. If you haven't been keeping up here, if you're a Captain America fan, jump in on Cap, see what you like, and then pick up the rest of the books from there.
Right. I mean, and this is the way that something like a King in Black will tie into a cinematic universe. You've got the Bucky Cap, or Bucky Captain
Falcon and
Winter Soldier. Falcon and Winter Soldier show. Plus you've got the second Venom movie. Plus you've got, all kinds of heat behind Stegman and Cates right now. This is an opportunity that this is one of those books that would be easy enough for them to introduce, some of this story arc into the next level of the cinematic universe.
Yep. Yeah, we know that they're building up to something in phase 5, or phase 4 and phase 5. We're not exactly sure what it is, but any of this stuff could be brought in. I mean, that's the brilliance of Kevin Feige, is he'll pull from whatever he thinks is going to make a good story, whether it was Civil War, whether it was Demon in a Bottle. If it just, the WandaVision right now is pretty much the Vision Quest series. So he's got all these years of comics to pull from. So you never know what they're going to pull. But with Falcon and the Winter Soldier getting the highlight, look for those types of stories in the comics as jumping on points. And, here you go. New #1. You pick it up. You tie into the big thing going on right now, and you get a good story.
Absolutely. So we've got about a minute left before we got to take our next break. So why don't I put my ugly mug back on the screen here for just a second?
All right.
And Dan, why don't you tell us about, we've talked about the last few weeks, but why don't we talk about it again? Why don't you tell us about Dynamite Books?
Dynamite Books. Dynamite Books is a line of novels that are available through Amazon. They are in print, digital, and audio on most of them. And it's a variety of Dynamite characters brought to prose. We've got 2 different Vampirella novels, one written by Nancy S. Collins called The Blood Invasion, which is the people of Draculon coming to Earth, and the only ones who can stand up to defend them are classic horror monsters like Dracula, Frankenstein, and, of course, Vampirella. So, again, Nancy Collins wrote that. The other Vampirella book is called The Blood Dragon, which is Vampirella Goes to Hong Kong. It's actually a follow-up to one of the original stories in the Vampirella magazine. This picks up years later, and someone is trying to bring back the Blood Dragon and using I can't remember the name for Japanese vampires. off the top of my head, but the Japanese vampires as his tools. And that's, sadly enough, that one was written by me, so you'd think I would remember the Jin Chao. Also, we've got
That sounds right.
we got Purgatory, Chaos Rising, which is the origin story of Purgatory, which was only touched on in the comics very slightly. This is a full novel going deep into her creation, her ties to Wrath, the Celtic vampire, and how she became this cross between a demon and a vampire. There's also an adaptation of the original Boys comic miniseries. Drawing a blank on it, but the name of the title. You threw me off in here. I should have been prepared. But so there's a Boys adaptation of the first comic series from Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson. I did the adaptation, and it dives deeper into some of the elements that are only touched on in the original comic series. And this isn't the TV series. This is the Boys going up against a different superhero group called the Teenage Kick. So it's, if you haven't read the comics, this is a completely new story for you, featuring Butcher and the rest of the team. I wanted to say Stewie. So you got the whole team there. Also, we've got the Audible version of the original Shaft novel. We have and a line of military fiction books called SEAL Team 6. One is SEAL Team 6 No More, and our newest one, SEAL Team 6 AX, which is our first female lead in a military fiction novel. So go on over to Amazon, check out all the titles from Dynamite Books.
Cool. All right, we will be back in just a couple minutes, guys, here on the Comic Book Shopping Experience.
Today's comics market is ripe with new titles by creators who are determined to get their books into your hands. My name is Henri Compen. For the last decade, I've been making and selling my own creator-owned comics and dealing as a collector in live sales. My signature series, Yi Sun Shin, is the book that cannot be defeated in battle and has over 250,000 copies in print. Now I'm taking comics to the next level and laying the groundwork for my fellow creators to get their voices heard so they can connect directly with you. This is your chance to engage live with top comic book talent and get your comics signed without having to wait in long lines or pay any fees. But remember, we only have a limited amount of their books in stock, so always remember to call it as you see it.
This phase, Zero is coming, and she's ready to party.
You ready, Nemo?
Like a monster. Pre-order now. J0.
To be continued. 3 little words that hold the secret to the next great story. 3 words that will thrill you, confound you, give life to new possibilities. Every variation of To Be Continued is a promise of adventure, a promise of excitement, a promise of unseen wonders and unexplored worlds. A promise that every issue you read makes you a part of a never-ending journey. And behind every page, there will be an unopened door waiting for you. This story to be continued at your local comic book shop today. Visit comicshoplocator.com today.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Kyle. Joining me, as always, is Dan. Let me bring Dan on screen, see if you can hear me. Dan, are we good? No, he'll be right back. That's fine. This is in stores this week. Normally Nick is here, but he is taking the night off. So it's just Dan and I, and we're talking about the glut of number ones that are coming out in comic shops this week. There are a ton of them. He's back.
I'm back. That's right.
There are a ton of number ones coming out in stores this week. So we are talking about those. I do want to remind everybody one more time, I got permission to do this, but I am raising money for Bink for my birthday. So if you're watching and if you are able, please click on the link in the comments and donate a few bucks to Bink to help us reach our goal of giving some money to Bink.
Now, you want to explain what Bink is?
Yes, absolutely. I was just trying not to choke and die live on the air.
The
Which might be more
ratings.
interesting.
Yeah, the ratings would be great.
Mm-hmm. No, so what Bink is? Bink is the Book Industry Charitable Foundation. Bink gives money directly to bookshop employees, comic shop employees, bookshop owners, comic shop owners, bookshops, and comic book shops. Not the big chains. You know, these are the real stores in your neighborhood, the people who come to you through the network every week. And they help people get through the pandemic. They're offering help to people in Texas and Oklahoma and Louisiana and all those states that dealt with that wild storm a couple of weeks ago. If you're a store owner and you have to have surgery or you have some sort of health issue, they help you to help make your rent. They help you to help pay your bills with cash. It's not a loan. It's a grant. And we set a really conservative goal to raise, just $10 for every year I've been born, and we're very close if we're not over it already. So we want to blow that number out of the water. We want to raise more money for Bink than even I was planning to. Like, we're over our goal by $9. If somebody goes and throws $1 at it, we'll be over our goal by $10, and that's all I care about. Let's blow that number out of the water and keep raising money for Bink, because again, that money goes right back to the hands of the people who sell you your books, and that's what's important. They helped a mountain of retailers last year, and I was very fortunate, so I thought I'd donate my birthday to them this year. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I saw a story last week about Bink and Nick and Dynamite making a rather generous contribution.
Mm-hmm. So a week ago at Comics Pro, Nick announced that Dynamite was donating $10,000 to Bink. The average Bink, they call them grants, but the average amount that they send out, that's totally fine, Joel. I appreciate it, man. Like, any money to Bink is good money, whether you gave it from the fundraiser I'm doing or from their own page, or you go into a local comic shop that's collecting for Bink, or you text Nick and say, hey, Nick, give Bink some money. I'll PayPal you. I don't care how you do it. Bink needs the money. But their average payout, I guess, their average grant is about $2,000. We're trying to raise a sixth of that. So, we're just trying to help out any little way we can, because I know times are tight, especially, for people out there. So, but yeah, Nick, Dynamite gave $10,000 with the idea of trying to get other people to raise money and donate. Other publishers. Some of the big publishers made big donations early on in the pandemic. Jim Lee, that's where he gave a lot of the money he raised from his art auctions, was Bink. They've been around for a long time. They're widely respected. And I appreciate you, Joel. They're widely respected, widely recognized as the leader in helping bookstores. So,
yeah. And for those of you who you buy comics, but you don't know much about the industry, comic retailing is a bit of a risk because you purchase your books in advance. You try to guess what your customers are going to buy, and you make your order, and you have to pay that you are responsible for that. And most books are not returnable. That means once you've made that purchase, that's it. So you have a lot of stores that were running along perfectly normal, doing their normal ordering, making their normal payments and stuff, and then suddenly everything got shut down. So they have these bills they have to pay, and they have nothing coming in to sell. So a lot of these guys, and there's no safety net when you're a retailer. There's no, big corporation backing you up. You are on your own. So if you have your employees to pay, you have your rent, your normal utilities bills, you have to keep paying to buy in stock whether people are coming in to buy it or not. Those books, when they come out, you still have to get them. This was a horrible time for retailers, and we lost quite a few. So if you are a fan of comics and you want to have a place to go get your books, going to your local comic shop, that is key. And, maybe you get your stuff online, and hey, bless the guys who do the online sales, but we need support of the local shops. And, maybe we can put the locator back up on the bottom here.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know where your local shop is, or you move to an area you don't know, the comic shop locator can help you find the nearest shop to you, or multiple shops.
And I will say this too: Bink helps the people as well as the store. So if you're someone who worked at a comic book shop and you were furloughed or laid off because of the pandemic, you could reach out to Bink and they would help you.
Yeah.
If you were a store owner that's like, look, my family's taken care of, I just got to make rent, Bink will help you. If you're a business, you're saying, I want to pay my employees, Bink will help you. Bink does a lot. And so it's really important in that regard to look at this as a chance to actually fundamentally give to a local shop without having, and Bink does a great job of figuring out who needs the money and where to send it. So a lot of the money that's coming in now isn't going for pandemic relief. It's going for a lot of it is, but they're helping stores in Texas who lost a week, or in some cases 2 weeks worth of revenue because they couldn't get new books, because they didn't have power, because they couldn't drive because of ice in Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Arizona, Oklahoma, all of those places that suffered from that. So, like I said, there's a lot of opportunities there. It's a super, super neat, super great group. We've been raising money for them. We raised money for them at Comics Pro. Nick and Dynamite gave 10 grand. Some of the other publishers joined in. But we're doing our little part. Like I said, we're at $339. If you could throw $1 at it, we'll be at $340. And then, it just goes from there. Like I said, I want to blow this number out of the water. There's a reason I made it a long fundraiser. I wanted to ask you guys to participate when you could. And if you can't, no big deal.
Yeah. This is Bink in a lot of ways is like the Hero Initiative, which is a way to give back to the people that give us so much entertainment and so much joy. We go to the comic shop and it is a safe haven. You look forward to going to the store on Wednesday. You walk in and half the time they know who you are. They say your name. You're a friend. They think about you. They do extra things. They pull books for you that they think you might like. They care about you. And you don't get that when you walk into Vaughn's. There's no cashier at Vaughn's going, hey, I put these kumquats aside for you because I thought you'd like them. But you get that in comic shops because it's personalized. These are as much of an important aspect of the retail of the industry as the creators. And I am a huge supporter of the Hero Initiative. I've done a lot of things for them in the past. Bink is another aspect of it, a chance for us who have gotten so much from the enjoyment of comics to give back. How many rainy Saturdays have you sat home reading comic books and escaping into these worlds that are created? Well, someone had to create them, someone had to sell them, and that's the only way this industry keeps going, is if those things keep going. So absolutely. Again, if you can help with Bink, with the charity, we'd appreciate it greatly.
Absolutely. All right, let's get back to the books.
Yeah. You're here for the comics, not the Jerry Lewis telethon. But if anybody donates $100, if anybody donates $100 to Bink, I will happily sing "You'll Never Walk Alone."
Well, I was just going to do my Jerry Lewis impression.
Hey,
hey, lady. So
there you go.
What's up next, Dan?
Let's finish up with Marvel with King in Black, Wiccan and Hulkling. Now, if you have no idea who Wiccan and Hulkling are because you haven't been keeping up with Marvel, but you're watching WandaVision, Wiccan is Wanda's son, Billy. You know the little magic stuff he does in the show where he stops his brother from running and he can sense where the vision is? This is him all grown up and happily married. He's a honeymooner at this point, basically, to Hulkling, who, from what I understand, is a mix of Kree and Skrull, which should just be wrong to anybody who follows Marvel, but he's pretty much the heir to the throne of both empires. He's the son of the original Captain Marvel, and I don't remember who the mother is, but I know that that's a major part of the story, and they've just gotten married, and they're trying to go off on their honeymoon. And of course, that all gets thrown off by Null and his army of symbiotes. So, you ever meet someone who tries to go on their honeymoon and gets destroyed? They get very angry. This is going to be an angry book, I think. I think they're going to be very upset having their honeymoon destroyed. And the honeymoon was given to them by the Shi'ar, so that should be interesting as well. Where would the Shi'ar send somebody for a honeymoon?
Yeah, that's I'm not. Yeah, I'm trying to think how that would go.
Yeah, it's supposed to be some beach resort, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. So the interesting thing about this book for me is the fact that it does tie into a bunch of stuff we know is coming, right? Mm-hmm. So we've got WandaVision, so we've got Wiccan, but we know that the Kree and the Skrull are going to play a role in forthcoming.
Oh yeah,
television,
the Secret Invasion series.
Mm-hmm. So the origin of Teddy, who is Hulkling, is that you don't know at first that his father was you just said it, Dan.
Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel. You just know that he was raised by a single mother. Except that it turns out that may have been Super Skrull.
Yeah.
So
he's an interesting character because, I mean, when they introduced him in Young Avengers, it's like, wait, is that the Hulk's kid? How does he tie to the Hulk? Well, it turns out he doesn't at all.
Not at all.
He just borrowed the name because he looked similar in green. Yeah. And they're building the Young Avengers is what we're seeing. There's been no announcement for a Young Avengers series, but we're getting Wiccan. We got Speed. There's been rumors about Hulkling. There's been rumors about Patriot showing up in the Falcon and Winter Soldier series. We've got Kate Bishop in the Hawkeye series. They've just recast Stature. Now I need to take a drink. In the Ant-Man series.
Mm-hmm. There was a Novar nod somewhere as well.
Yeah, and we got Kang coming into the universe, and of course, Iron Lad is a different time version of Kang. So they're putting all of this together. But hang on a second,
they're putting it all together. They're putting the building blocks together, guys. It's we'll give Dan a second there, but they're putting the building blocks together to build the Young Avengers. They're, all the Legos are out. They just got to snap them together and not step on any. And what's interesting to me about the fact that the Young Avengers are coming is that you really thought that, okay, we're through wave 1, Avengers versus X-Men, a Fantastic Four Avengers story. There have been tons of these stories throughout time in the Marvel Comics pantheon, but instead they're going to Young Avengers, which brings you around about a whole different way to get to these properties they're just waiting to introduce.
You have to look at Kevin Feige as just having the biggest toy box ever. And he was playing along, having fun, and then someone walked along and said, "We just got these toys from Fox. Can we put them in here with these?" So he already had Phase 4 set up with the toys he had. So he didn't have X-Men. He didn't have Fantastic Four. He's borrowed the other guy's Spider-Man. But other than that, he's had the Avengers and the basic characters. So going to Young Avengers made a lot of sense. And going to the Eternals and trying to get the Inhumans going. We won't talk about that series. But now he's got all the toys, but he's said that he's not playing with X-Men or Fantastic Four until Phase 5, even though there's been a Fantastic Four announced. So characters like the Young Avengers are probably big in Phase 4 because there weren't the X-Men and Fantastic Four to deal with or to pull on. So he's building.
I think we'll get them earlier than Phase 5, but I think they'll come to Disney Plus. I think is where you'll start to see them, and it won't be Reed and Sue and Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm.
Yeah.
It won't be the Silver Surfer and the Fantastic Four. It won't be them. It'll be the Future Foundation, or it'll be one of the other incarnations that they can tie more directly to what's already happened. Because, like, if we really want to get into it with Agatha Harkness, right, in WandaVision, she was the nanny,
right,
to Reed Richards. So she's got a connection to the Fantastic Four. They can just go the long way around to get back to them.
And we're going to get She-Hulk soon with Tatiana Maslany playing the character. So she's tied to the Fantastic Four as well, having taken over for Ben Grimm for a while.
Yep.
So
and she was their lawyer. So that's a whole thing too.
Yeah, exactly.
But I will say this. I will never be okay with the fact that Angie Harmon, who looks just like She-Hulk, begged to play She-Hulk and never got the chance. Tatiana Maslany is going to be great.
Yeah.
But I feel really bad. Like, Angie Harmon was on, like, Letterman begging to play She-Hulk back when the first Hulk movie came out.
Right.
And she never got the chance, and I think she deserves it in some way. I'm just throwing that out there. Kevin Feige, if you're listening, I don't care if she's in a coffee shop somewhere. Like, she needs to get acknowledged for pushing the envelope forward for She-Hulk for years.
Hey, since we're talking Disney Plus, let me throw this out there. You were talking about the X-Men, how they're going to bring him onto Disney Plus and Fantastic Four. I think what Marvel ought to do, just throwing this out there since they have these other franchises as well, animated series outside the main continuity, X-Men versus Aliens. But you use the Brood series as the basis because the Brood was Marvel's version of Aliens. You do it as an animated series, 6-part series. You bring back the Alien series. You bring back the X-Men. You get them introduced onto Disney Plus. I think it would sell. I think people would die for it. It would be great.
I could be sold on that. It wasn't what I was thinking. I was thinking Scotty Young's Little X-Men. As an animated Muppet Babies style program.
I could see them doing that too, but I think X-Men Aliens gets both franchises some attention as they're getting to starting to use them again.
Super true.
Because how cool would that be to have Wolverine versus a xenomorph? I've left him speechless. There we go. My work.
I'm just trying to figure out, like, who would actually have the upper hand. Could a xenomorph actually kill Wolverine? Like, I'm doing the math in my head, and it's not coming out the way I want it to. Which isn't a bad thing. It just is, and I could be all about that.
Yeah, I think that'd be great. And by the way, Kevin Feige, if you are listening, be happy to write that for you. I can get on that right away if you like.
Yeah, I will come down and I will shoot it.
There you go. Yep. We'll get that rolling for you.
We'll do the mocap. No problem.
Yeah.
All right, man. What else did we have on our list? Did you have anything else on your list?
Yeah, we got Joanna the Impossible Monster #1. I saw you
Jana
talking
and the
about it.
Impossible Monsters.
Yeah, I saw you talking about that. This is Chris Samney,
And his wife Laura.
his wife Laura. Yep, and they're telling the story of Rainbow, who's looking for her missing sister in a world overrun by monsters. And of course, Chris is an Eisner winner, so I have always been a fan, and I am really looking forward to what he's doing here. But it sounds like you may have already read this book.
Maybe just a little.
Just a little.
Just a little. We got, so when Oni sent us the commercials for it, we got not a full book.
Uh-huh.
We got PDF preview of the first few pages. And basically the story is a story that oh God, Joel, I don't even want to think about that.
That's perfect.
Anyhow,
I love it.
This is a story that Chris and Laura told their 3 daughters. Like, they made it up for them.
Okay.
When they were young. And the 2 girls, Rainbow and Jana, are modeled after the 2 oldest of the Samney girls. So they are writing this story and telling it. But basically what happens is you don't meet Jana. It's a search for Jana and these impossible monsters, because the last time Rainbow saw Jana was also the first time she saw the monsters. Excuse me. And so they are excuse me, they are hunting. She is essentially hunting for her sister. And doesn't, because family sticks together and she needs to keep her family together, and she's not going to leave her sister behind, but the world is becoming more and more unraveled by these monsters. And so that's kind of where the story heads.
So it sounds like this would be a good book to pick up to read to your kids or to share with your kids.
Yeah, it's super an all ages book.
Okay.
It's super accessible for all age groups and all types of people. So
yeah,
there's something in it for everyone.
So if your kid is a little hesitant to read or likes to have you read to them, here's a great book to pick up that's geared for them and help bring them into the comic reading world.
Absolutely.
So, plus, it's got dinosaurs. I mean, that looks like dinosaurs back there. And what kid doesn't love dinosaurs?
Those are the impossible monsters.
Ah. You got to like the word impossible,
Right. Not a real word.
No, but it sounds like a word a kid would say. Well, that was impossible.
Mm-hmm.
So
super true.
Yep. All right. And then that was the end of my list, but we didn't get a chance. I didn't realize that ENIAC #1 was coming out. And I'm a huge fan of the guys over at Bad Ideas. I got a chance to meet most of them when they were still over at Valiant, Dinesh and Hunter. When they were filming the Ninjak versus the Valiant Universe series, I went down, hung out on set for a day, got to meet the cast and the crew and Dinesh and stuff, and they are just really great people. And even though they've moved on from Valiant and now they're starting their own company, I'm in it for whatever they're doing. So I love the idea of this book. So much of it is based on reality, the World War II supercomputer, and then taking it from there, which is, as a writer, that's a great way to come up with any ideas. You take something out of history that seems made up, and then when you base it in reality, and then you run with it. So what happens if the World War II supercomputer becomes sentient?
Right.
Yeah.
No, so the thing about Bad Idea, right, is that they've got certain rules that you have to follow to be a Bad Idea retailer. So most stores, when you walk in and you want to buy #1, they're going to ask you to commit to 1 through 4. Because the way it works for retailers is whatever you order of #1 is your order for that whole print run. Or for that, not that whole print run, that whole story arc. Sorry.
Yeah.
So for ENIAC number 1, if you order 10 copies, you're getting 10 copies number 2, 10 copies number 3, 10 copies number 4. Nothing you can do about it. And the other thing is that they're limited to 1 per customer. So people can't go in and buy 5 copies. They get 1.
Yeah.
They have certain rules about, what they can't control the flippers, but what they can do is on the contract, stores aren't allowed to post them on eBay for any more than cover price for 30 days. So even if flippers are out there putting them up for 50, comic stores are going to have them lower and people are going to buy them.
Mm-hmm.
They also are not doing second printings. They're doing a second run, which they're calling the not first printing, which is a perpetual print run until there is no longer need for the book to be in print. They're not doing trades. Like this is their thing. I mean, they've got some weird rules, but it's all designed to put books in the hands of consumers rather than flippers. And it's meant to build a fandom.
Yeah.
And so this is Matt Kint and Doug Braithwaite. Matt Kint written, Doug Braithwaite art. It's beautiful inside. It really is. And by the way, the cover stock is trade cover stock. High gloss trade cover stock. And with this one especially, there's a spot highlight.
Yeah, no variants. No variant covers. Variant. This is comic books for comic lovers,
Right. I mean, and it's they caught a lot of flack for it because initially they were only going to be in 150 stores. Then it was 200. Now it's almost 300. They're adding more stores, but they caught some flack for it. But I think it's just because they're flying in the face of, they're flying in the face of a lot of what's been people have come to expect in the comic book industry.
Oh yeah, they're breaking all the rules.
Well, and Adam Freeman, who is their sales and marketing head, was on with Jen yesterday, and he made the point of saying, so many publishers make the mistake of trying to be Marvel, doing things the Marvel way, trying to be Marvel, and it doesn't work for them because they ain't Marvel.
Right.
And so Bad Idea decided to be Bad Idea.
Yeah.
To do it their way, the way they felt, and to buck a lot of those trends. So you can only order from them. It gets fulfilled by Diamond, but you can only order from them. You can't. It's not on FOC. It's not in the Diamond system.
Yep. Well, as a starter company, it is difficult to get any traction because you start off and you put your first book out, and issue 2 takes invariably a 50% hit in your orders. So you may sell a couple thousand, if you do 5,000 of the first issue, the odds are that issue 2 is only going to do 2,500. So your first book comes out and you're, make enough of a profit that you keep going, but you're going to take a hit on 2 and 3 because stores are willing to take a gamble. If you tell them up front that, if you buy 10, you're going to get 10 of every issue of the series, that's forcing them to give you realistic numbers so you can do realistic print runs. But also you're forcing the sale of the individual issues, which as a company, that helps because if people are waiting for trades or buying offline and stuff, that's not getting the money to the creators. That's, the money's not coming in when it needs to be coming in when the books are being created. So I think this is a fascinating experiment. Whether it'll actually be a bad idea or not, we'll have to find out. But I am definitely going to support this and pick up this book. And just, look at that cover. That looks painful.
Yeah. Well, and just remember, guys, when you hear things about Bad Idea, remember that everyone's a wrestling fan.
Well, also remember, these are the guys that brought, Dinesh and Hunter and stuff were the guys that brought back Valiant. They made Valiant popular again, and Valiant had some interesting rules too, like X number of books only or titles. They never went over. I think it's 8 titles a month. Right. They would end one before they'd start another one.
Yes, they would. But the other thing I'm talking about though is like, I just want you guys to remember, there's real, then there's real, then there's real. Like, so whenever you hear things about Bad Idea, just remember that it's all designed to make you pay attention to what they're doing. Right. And that if they're talking or they're putting something out there, the odds are they're doing it because it's going to be worth your time and energy. So we'll leave it there. Let's see. What else came out this week?
We're off my list now, so let me pull up a different list.
Well, it's one of the books. This is actually my pick of the week. I said it on my show. We'll bring it up again. It's from Heavy Metal. This is Starward by Steve Orlando.
Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, it's so it's this girl. She's 18, 19 years old. It's she's just going to college, after her last summer vacation. And she's, it's an awkward time for anybody, right? You're meeting the opposite sex, you're living on your own, you're becoming an adult, you're experimenting. In my case, you're drinking and doing drugs, you're going through all of those things that come with the trappings of not living with your parents for the first time, right?
Yep.
And she discovers that her calling, her destiny, she is descended from a line of people whose job it is to keep the chaos of the mythos of the world at bay. To keep the Greek gods from fighting with the Roman gods, from fighting with the African gods, from fighting with to keep the chaos at bay. And she's not sure she's ready.
Yeah.
So
sounds good to me. Now, Heavy Metal Elements, is that a imprint? I don't know much about it.
I believe it is.
Okay, so we could expect more from the Elements line then.
Mm-hmm. So I think the way Heavy Metal is doing things, and this is just my sort of brief understanding of it, is that they do have a couple of imprints they're announcing that are less what Heavy Metal is known for, less Tarna, less some of the other things that people know Heavy Metal for, and more new creator-owned kind of stuff. But these are the books that are going to come in regular comic size. These are not the oversized volumes like they've had before. This is the future. I think Heavy Metal Elements is the future of heavy metal. And I think this has a lot of Joe Illich in it in terms of the way it's been approached. So
nice. Now, Joe was with you guys over the weekend during the the convention you did, right? The little mini convention.
He was, and I've been saying that Joe basically wrote the new book of Proverbs as it comes to comic book creation. He is on the backside of his health. He had a COVID scare, and he had, his life-changing stuff. Like he was only at the last publisher he was with for 90 days. Oof. And like just stuff, right? And now he's at Heavy Metal, and he's got this new perspective that I don't know if Joe's always had this perspective, but I've never heard him speak about it like he does now. That every line that came out of his mouth was just gold. If you're a comic creator, when we re-air that interview, you're going to want to watch it. But he talks about, he's doing things now that are inspiring his creativity that he never thought would have in the past. Like he goes for walks. He gets up and he doesn't open his email right away. He spends time with his wife. Things that are good for your overall health, but also are good for your creative health.
Oh yeah.
I'm a guy who I have to be creative most of the time with my job. And sometimes you get burnt out. So it's like today I went and sat on a bench at a park and stared at a lake.
Yeah.
For like a half an hour, just because it lets you reset your brain.
Yeah.
And Joe has some really great ideas and really strong, vision for the industry as a whole.
I've got my office to work in, but when it's time for me to come up with a new story, to break a new story, I will pick up my my little notebook pad or my little computer, and I'll head over to a Starbucks or a Denny's or something and sit down, get a tea, and work there just to change pace and to kind of get into a different environment, just to get the creative juices flowing. I think that's necessary.
I used to go to a pizza place when I was writing television. So, all right. One of the other books from AWA, which is Axel Alonso's new company, is Chariot. I'll hit this one quick because I think if once I tell Dan what it is, he'll be very interested in this. This is Kit with more ghosts.
I like it already. Do we get William Daniels' voice?
No, and so far, one issue in, we don't know that the car can talk. But it's a supercar developed for a secret agent in the Cold War era. So it's a weaponized car.
Oh, it's Brian Edward Hill. Okay.
Yes. It winds up at the bottom of the ocean, and the secret agent kind of disappears. This car gets salvaged, winds up in a junkyard, and our main character finds it. And he's looking to turn his life around and decides that he's going to take the car and use it to kind of turn his life around. What we find out, though, is that the consciousness of the secret agent is still controlling the car.
I'm liking it already. This is great.
Yeah, it's Kit with more ghosts.
Yeah.
Or Christine with less murder, or maybe the same amount of murder, or less teenage angst, maybe. So I'm excited for this one. This is from AWA again. Axel Alonso's new company.
Cool. I'm going to throw a book out there. I don't know if you've got the cover for it or not, but we talked about The Boys earlier and the novelization of Name of the Game. That's the one I couldn't think of. But this week also is the release of the trade paperback of Dear Becky, which is the newest miniseries from Garth Ennis, Russ Braun, and of course covers by Derek Robertson. And if you are in between waiting for the seasons on The Boys, you've gone back and you read all the trades that were out, those great omnibus editions that Dynamite put out, but you haven't seen anything new, pick up Dear Becky. It's focused. Yeah, it's a good series. It focuses on Butcher's relation, basically talking to his wife. It's more of Butcher's origin in a sense. So it's a good story to pick up. And again, it's trade. So you get the whole thing right there. You got it.
Absolutely. One of the other ones that I had on my list that I was excited for, only because I'm this kind of child, is the Comic Book History of Animation, Saturday Morning Funhouse.
Nice.
So this drags you into the 60s, right? This is Hanna-Barbera, the advent of Saturday morning cartoons, and it kind of ends with the rise of Japanese animation. So we're talking Hayao Miyazaki, early Macross, which would become Voltron. Things like that are starting to develop out of Japan. But it really digs into what happened here in the United States that led to Hanna-Barbera being the biggest animators in the world.
Yeah.
And nobody has to say, exit stage right already. But this was an important time. I grew up on Saturday morning cartoons.
Nice.
Maybe not the ones we're talking about here, but certainly a later generation that were presented by the Disney Channel.
Yeah, and I grew up on some of them. I mean, I was a child of the 70s, actually born in 1970s, and now you all know how old I am. So a lot of these cartoons, they were reruns when I came around during the week, but it wasn't that much further than we got some others spun off of that. But
you got things like H.R. Puff and stuff. And
we did, and Lidsville. Who thought putting Charles Nelson Riley in a children's thing about, and basically was acid trip. Who thought that was a good idea?
Yeah, I'm not going to do my Charles Nelson Riley impression. I have one. I'm not going to do it. But no, the thing I would say though is that like I came up on a Disney Channel, but I was also vividly aware of the cartoons from the 60s and 70s and 80s.
Oh yeah.
There
was a lot of drugs going on in children's programming creation, obviously.
Yeah, did you know that I can't think of the name of them? They created HR Puff and stuff, the brothers or whatever.
Sid and Marty Krofft.
That they built an amusement park in Atlanta based around HR Puff and stuff and some of their other creations. And it failed horribly. Went out of business. Do you know what? It was indoor. Do you know what bought the amusement park and what it is now?
I don't know. I could do some wild guesses, but go ahead.
Ted Turner bought it. It's now CNN World Headquarters.
Oh, jeez.
Yep. It was originally Croftland.
Okay.
Something like that. Like it was based on Sid and Marty's creations. And yeah, it didn't do well. But now
that could have been so different. You had tonight, CNN Tonight with Don Lemon and Sigmund the Sea Monster.
Kinda, yeah. Like
that would be awesome.
Absolutely. But no, that's what wound up happening with that amusement park, which is, I think, the greatest story to ever come out of anything.
Huh?
So I have one more book on my list.
All right.
Paranormal Hitmen from Behemoth Comics.
Okay.
It's The Sopranos meets the Ghostbusters. Two hitmen for the mob are recruited by a secret government organization to hunt and kill ghosts. Their boss is not all about that life and tries to hunt them down and drag them back into the regular old crime family life.
Interesting.
So essentially, they're trying to hunt and kill ghosts, which how do you kill a ghost without a proton pack? I'm still not sure. But they're trying to hunt and kill these ghosts while trying not to get hunted and killed by their former boss.
How do you kill a ghost without a protein pack? Maybe a protein bar?
John Constantine. It's the only thing I can think of is you call John Constantine.
Yeah, you do an exorcism, you know? Maybe one of them used to be a priest and then he got into the mob.
Yeah, I doubt it, but, but that was the last book on my list for this week, so.
All right, I'm going to throw one more out there. Star Wars High Republic #3. I am just a geek on this series. Been loving it. Most of the High Republic stuff has been absolutely great. I'm still finishing up the Charles Soule novel, but I've been reading.
This is the High Republic Adventures cover, just as a heads up. It's not the one he's talking about, but it's the tie-in series that's coming from IDW, High Republic Adventures.
There's my issues 1 and 2 right by my desk, so you can see I am really big into this series. It's got a mystery going on, and I mean the novel. I love how it's all tied together off of this big event that happens. So, but the comic is pretty good standalone, and you're following a couple Jedis, including a Trandoshan. And I will always talk up the Trandoshans. There has never been enough Trandoshan love in Star Wars. I mean, we got Bosk, and that's about it. And Bosk didn't get enough screen time. Though there is an amazing fan film that came out recently that it's kind of Predator meets Star Wars, and they're almost doing the Predator storyline, but with Bosk as the bad guy. And if you get a chance, I cannot think of the name of it right now, but it's on YouTube, and it's really worth picking up or checking out. Let me see if I can find it.
Well, we're running short on time here, Dan. So let's do this. Let's I like to give everybody a pick of the week. The book that I'm most excited to read, book I'm most excited to sit down with. Do you have one for yourself?
I think I just mentioned it. I just the Star Wars: The High Republic has been the series that's gotten my attention. By the way, that's Scorekeeper. Bosk Scorekeeper is the name of the video.
All right.
Yeah, I've been again Star Wars: High Republic with The Mandalorian, and then rewatching all the movies with my mom's watching them for the first time. So I've been heavily dosed in Star Wars. I even got the Mandalorian hot toy figure in this week. So
Nice.
I'm deep into Star Wars love right now, and I'm really enjoying the High Republic. So that's probably the first one that's going to be on my read pile when I get home, with maybe ENIAC and the Captain America one after that will be the top 3 I'm reading.
Yeah. No, I told Miss Jan, I'm like, hey, I know I ordered these things the day you announced you were getting them, but I will take a not first printing of ENIAC. And she goes, why? I go, I just want to read it. I don't care. Like, other people are going to be hunting that first printing. I don't care. I just got to read this book. Like, there are other times where it's like, no, I want the first print. I want the thing. Mm-hmm. Then there are times where it's like, I'm okay with letting the thing go. I just want to read it. So ENIAC is one of those. Matt Kent could write drying paint and I'd read it.
Yep.
Which is the highest compliment I ever give anybody.
And Doug Braithwaite, his run on Bloodshot was gorgeous. So I cannot wait to see what he's doing with this.
Absolutely. So, Dan, tell people about some of the other podcasts and shows that you do so they can find you, and where they can follow you on the socials.
All my social stuff is my name, so I'm pretty easy to find. My YouTube channel is Dan Wickline 1. Everything else is just Dan Wickline. I do a Sunday night podcast from 6 to 7:30 or 8, depending on how talkative we are, on Sunday nights, called Pop Go the Writers. And the idea behind it is it's 3 or 4 writers, depending on how many we get, talking about the latest pop culture stuff. And we've been really covering WandaVision in depth. It's myself, Dan Taylor, who is the creator of Superhero Happy Hour, and also, Hero Happy Hour, thanks to the lawsuit. And was an editor at IDW for years. Rosalinda Diaz, who is a women's fiction writer. And then we get a random guest in. We've had Paul Story, Lance Karutz, Andrew Goggin, and a few others. It's been rotating. So we've been doing this since the beginning of the year. And then I also do videos during the week covering things like pop culture news, different takes on WandaVision, stuff like that. So I used to cover this stuff for Bleeding Cool. Now I do it on my own channel. So if you want to get in on that, there I am. And you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter, both under the name Dan Wickline.
Cool. And if you want to follow me, I don't know why you would. Follow me on The Experience. This is the best place to find me. I have my own social medias, but I'm always here. Most of the times you can follow me in the comments. I'm usually heckling or talking to the people or buying stuff in the comments, so I'm always there too. So this has been In Stores This Week with 100% less Nick. I have been Kyle. He has been Dan Wickline.
I have been Dan.
We will see you next week where there will be new things in stores, and we will have approximately 33% more Nick. Is that how math works?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, sure. And you guys, if you get me on
social, of us will be Nick.
Get me on social media. You can decide what my name should be next week.
Yes,
I'll take suggestions on what my name should be next week.
Right. Next week. My name will be I Still Seem to Be Kyle. So we will see everybody then. Thank you for tuning in. This has been the Comic Book Shopping Experience, the EXP. Hit like, hit subscribe, hit follow, hit all the buttons, share out all of our videos the rest of the week. This is not Fight Club. All right. Tell everybody. Rule number 1 of the experience is tell everybody.
Mm-hmm. And remember to have
more fun if more people don't show up.
And remember to have a happy happy new comic book day.
Absolutely.
So get out there, get to your retailers, share the love, and pick up amazing books.
See you next time.